Larry Connors, USA.
Back to defund police, open the jail doors, let everybody out. I have yet to see a single progressive Democrat suddenly say, we got extra room, they can come stay with us.
Larry Connors, weeknights at 6 on News Talk STL.
School bus driver in a traffic jam, staring at the faces in a rearview mirror, looking at the promise of the promised land. One kid dreams of fame and fortune. One kid helps pay the rent. One could end up going to prison. One just might be president.
Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer.
Only in America.
Randy Tobler
Dreaming in red, white, and blue.
on News Talk STL.
Well, good morning. I am out of the Liberty Lair in studio today and looking at producer Jerome and in real life. Boy, you're a big dude, man. I tell you, I don't want to get on your bad side.
Yeah, I watched a lot of Popeye, ate my spinach, and this is what happens.
I'm telling you. The big news that I had to deal with was driving in today. I had a lot of rain, man, a harrowing drive in. So as we get settled in, we're going to tell you about a big show. And we've got a lot of excitement today because, you know, we've got so much going on. We've got drones over New Jersey. No one knows what's going on. Nancy Pelosi fracturing her hip, apparently still working. I don't know how big of a story that is, but I mean, along with Mitch McConnell falling and busting his head, and it just is a turn of the generations. You can feel it. It is upon us. And we're also going to talk about this calamity that occurred up in New York City last week with the shooting of the UHC CEO. The online craziness that evolved after that, the viral celebration of this murder. But on the other hand, the launching of a great discussion that needs to happen. We talked a little about it last Saturday, but we're going to have an analyst on who is she's a brain specialist, high performance brain specialist, coach and consultant. She'll be with us at 7:05. Because I want to talk to her about the psychology of how a guy like this, with all that he had going for him. I mean, you talk about privilege to the max, to use a woke term. Did this guy ever have privilege? What happened? What went south? What is it about the angst, the anger, about his chronic back pain? How does that play into the way our brains perform and the way we behave as a result of that? So Lee Richardson will be this at 7:06. Virginia Cruda, of course, at 7:45. And then we're going to have some special in-studio guests. And you know what? It's become a mission of mine, whenever I see patients in the office, to talk to them about their dental health. And you may go, oh, man, yawn, yawn, yawn. No, not really. It is crucial, absolutely essential. And we're going to talk about some space-age technology they have, which is not something every dentist office in the area has. So we'll talk about some of that. I asked him to bring in some show and tell and some interesting props too. So make sure you tune in on the live stream on Facebook, Rumble, YouTube. Have I gotten us thrown off X?
Nope, we're still on X, baby.
Well, Elon wouldn't throw me off, but maybe YouTube would. I think he might do that. Yeah, if I go on too big of a rant about this or that.
And don't forget, we also have the Spotify account and Apple Podcast.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And at 6:25, George Fishman is going to be with us because there's also been a lot of buzz about the whole immigration issue. How are we going to deal with the millions of immigrants that are here? How do we vet them now, since they weren't vetted adequately, a vast majority of them at the border? They're in the communities, Tren Aragua and others. I mean, we haven't heard much about MIS 13, but that's another group. They're infiltrating all of our cities. We're all border cities now. You don't know if the person, next to you that appears Hispanic or foreign or, who knows, maybe they're Chechen, you don't know. How do you know that the government has any knowledge of who they are, where they are, what they're about? And then when it comes to the whole mass deportation thing, what about the optics of that? You know that the media is taking a lull right now. The media is taking a lull. But the minute Donald Trump is inaugurated, you know that they will be back on their TDS.
Yeah.
It'll be going crazy. The TDS drug has taken effect a little bit now. And the side effects are rationality, common sense. But, the drug wears off after a while. And that will wear off when the inauguration happens. And they'll be all over this. The first time that a mom and a dad, and maybe the dad gets separated and deported, right? And the mom who dropped the baby here as an anchor baby, maybe, what are we going to do about that? And the tears will be flowing. And so we're going to talk with George Fishman from the Center for Immigration Studies about militarization of this effort, enforcement of the borders, as well as what kind of assistance should and can the military do in this effort to secure the borders and get the folks out of here that don't belong here. I mean, that's what we're going to have to see.
Yeah, and just to remind everybody, because I still hear a lot of people doing the this is no different than when the Nazis were deporting the Jews back in the 1930s, and it's completely different. This is a federal law that it is illegal to knowingly harbor, aid, abet, transport illegal immigrants that you either suspect to be illegal or in a way that you are willfully ignoring the potential for them to be. And that is a violation of a U.S. code that's been on the books for over 100 years now. So why is enforcing the law suddenly a bad thing? Why, like, the past 3.5 years has just been do whatever you want to do at the federal level and then forget the rest of us, I guess. But why is it now suddenly an issue that we're returning to what America is by our foundational documents supposed to be?
Yeah, I can feel your passion, Jerome, and I just it flies all credibility of common sense, the rule of law, first principles, right and wrong, natural law. You don't even have to invoke constitution. It's just natural law. If you have a border that defines a country and there are certain restrictions that you must, and certain obligations and thresholds that a person has to pass. I mean, if you're driving a car, I remember a fishing trip I took years ago up to Canada, and a bunch of guys piled into an SUV. It happens. I know people listening do that, right? You get a bunch of guys together, you go up to Canada. When you come back across the border, I mean, they are looking in your cooler to make sure that you have the right, the fish are not weighed right. I mean, it's crazy, right? And I think everyday Americans who every day obey the laws. I mean, I was thinking about it coming in. It reminds me of the travesty that is our border unenforcement for the last 4 years. And really, it's gone on for decades. But I mean, at least it was tamped down a little bit under Trump. Okay, so we all have passed these little signs, the little LED signs that say, you're going 58 and it's 55, right? Even that causes a little stir in me, like, oh, technically I'm sort of breaking the law, I guess I better slow down. I don't know about you, but I do, right? And then, of course, once we look around and then we go back up to 60, But you know what I mean? We fully expect to be made accountable for our behavior. Everyone's been getting property tax bills. Try not paying your property tax bill. See how that works out for you.
Oh, yeah.
You're renting your property from the government, essentially, right? Whether it's personal property or real property, if you own your home. And you pay your bills because there's certain consequences for not obeying a local, municipal, state, or federal law. And boy, to get on another thread that the spoke from this hub of this discussion, how many regulations do we unknowingly break every day?
Very true.
Because there's so many of them, right? It would fill up half this studio if you put them stacked up to the ceiling. That's what we hope Donald Trump's going to bring. I mean, on the one hand, respect for the law and not weaponizing it against people when certain other people aren't made accountable, right? And he knows all too well about that.
Yeah, and it's extremely relevant to Missouri even. I mean, look at the case of that the teenager Corey that was just killed. Thank God they finally found somebody. They don't think it's the shooter yet. They've not confirmed that if it was the shooter, but they found somebody that was involved in the incident that led to his death. And this individual, I don't want to name him to give him any sort of credit right now, but he was pardoned at the federal level for previously being involved in violence related to drugs and gang violence. So they pardoned him from a federal offense that he should have gone to prison for. He gets out. The first thing he does is he goes right back to that same lifestyle. Now, apparently there was some dispute or something that went on. Him and some of his friends were in a car. They were shooting at a different car. 20 shell casings were fired. and a stray bullet ended a young man's life that had nothing even to do with that.
Yeah.
So when we're sitting here, we're talking about everything that we're going to go over today in the context of, well, conservatives are all these bad guys. They want to be fascists. They want to enforce all these rules. These rules keep innocent teenagers alive. Like if Tashara Jones had done her job and not defunded the police and had actually allocated resources to make these communities safer, not put up traffic cams in areas where a red light will last 5 minutes in the dead of night, nobody's around you, but actually put up there are these cameras you can put on streetlights that will respond to the sounds of gunshots and immediately activate. And basically that's how Sergeant Betsy was talking about how she believes we can make a bigger dent on crime at night. If she had done anything right during her term as mayor of St. Louis, Corey, I believe, would still be alive.
Yeah.
And the only way we can get back to feeling safe and to restoring St. Louis and just restoring Fenton and O'Fallon and Kansas City and all these other places around Missouri, we need to get back to a rule of law, not excessive, you littered, and we're going to beat the crap out of you now. Maybe not that to that extent. And there are some laws that maybe we can look at and say, well, are these in our best interest? But it is ridiculous. We let the most amount of legal immigrants into our country out of any country on earth. And yet we are the bad guys for wanting the people that broke the laws and circumvented that to get out.
It's really, this time of Christmas gives me pause to think about, at the same time, there are stories of redemption, right? That happens. And my understanding is that the prison system and the criminal justice system actually has the tools to be pretty savvy when someone is in prison and understand whether someone has actually reformed and is likely to be rehabbed and be safe again. But even that system is going to make a mistake now and then. And I guess society has to ask the question. I mean, you mentioned it, at what point do we say, look, you've proven that you are not rehabbable, and so you are now in prison for life. I'm sorry, we are not going to do that. So on the one hand, you talk about extreme accountability. That's what I just described, and what I think many people would scratch their head and say, how many so-called petty crimes, how much gun violence that doesn't kill anyone, how many rapes, how many domestic abuse charges and convictions, how many theft convictions does a person have to have before we say, sorry, you're a pox on society, and really, in some instance, for your own safety as well as others, we're not going to allow you to inhabit society freely anymore. You have lost your freedom. On the other hand, I think of Chuck Colson's ministry. You're too young to know Chuck Colson. Chuck Colson was one of the Watergate guys, went to prison. He was one of the advisors to I forget what his actual title was, but he started a prison ministry. And if you look at the recidivism rate among inmates who receive training from faith and rehab based on faith training, the recidivism rate is remarkably quantum leap different than those who are given the secular rehab rate. And Chuck Colson's prison ministry is one of them. There's several others that are faith-based ministries. But of course, in this woke time, it's anathema to, we can't have, you're going to bring faith. And what about separation of state and, state and church? I think there is a lane there for redemption, for a second chance. And Americans, I think, individually tend to want to do that. We do that in our corporate and our professional lives, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it happens all the time. You're maybe new in a workplace and you screw up and don't follow a policy. The boss calls you in and says, hey, we got to make sure that we, try to follow this policy, not the one you were used to or whatever. And you're given second chances. But I think when it comes to different levels of crime, when it comes to the escalating severity of the crime, maybe we need to rethink our prison policy. And a lot of it too survives or revolves around what Charles Krauthammer said, God rest his soul. He's a psychiatrist, of course, now deceased. He was disabled, dove into a pool as a medical student at Harvard, broke his neck. The studying that guy did, unbelievable if you read the story. I mean, he's one of the most brilliant minds and a brilliant columnist. But he said, one of the big travesties of this country was eliminating our long-term mental institutions, because a lot of these people are clearly schizophrenic, right? I mean, they're schizophrenic. They think they're hearing voices. A voice tells them to take someone out. Very often they're only good when they're on their drugs. And when they get on their drugs and they get normalized, then they go off their drugs because they're normalized. And if you let them to their own devices, it doesn't work. So we should probably think about reinstituting, and I'm I haven't heard it in any of the Trump nominees or any of his policies or any of his statements. Something we need to really think about it, and it applies to homeless people.
Mm-hmm.
It applies to criminals. A lot of that is born out of mental illness. Well, let's just recognize it. Let's institutionalize them until and if they are rehabbed and ready to be out on society. And then with technology, I mean, you know more about technology and its potential than I ever will. Maybe there's a way to safely and with respect monitor these people for their own good and for the good of society. Well, we got into a pretty philosophical discussion there. We invite your calls, 314-912-1019, 314-912-1019 on News Talk STL all morning. In a few minutes, we're going to talk with George Fishman about the border issue and see what's coming in Trump world in just 36 days, if I'm counting right. We'll be back.
Build another prison. Don't dig another grave.
Looking at the promise.
Make us part of your holiday this year.
I'll be home for the holidays in the White House 4 more years.
With the News Talk STL Family Christmas.
'Tis the season to build the wall.
We'll share personal stories and play our favorite Christmas songs.
The silent night for sleepy Joe Biden.
Starting Christmas Eve at 6
He's tired.
and Christmas morning at 6.
News Talk STL's Family Christmas.
Brought to you by Jules on Hampton, PJ's Coffee, and Dirty Dan's Pizza.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
There's no pizza like Napoli Brothers Pasta and Pizza in the district, Chesterfield Valley. That's because in Napoli, your pizza is in a coal-fired oven. One taste, you're going to want more. Grab a gift card. Good for all Napoli locations. And a few doors down, enjoy the atmosphere of Lit Cigar Lounge. High-end cigars, single-barrel whiskey. Before you leave, pick up gift cards for family and friends at Lit Cigar Lounge.
Let Seavers JCB create a custom purchasing plan for your year-end equipment needs and maximize your tax savings. Whether you need 0% financing for up to 60 months, generous cash incentives up to $9,000, or extended warranties for up to 5 years, Seavers JCB can tailor a plan to fit your fleet needs and budget. Programs are available on a wide range of products, including track loaders, excavators, wheel loaders, and more. Call, stop by, or check them out online at SeaversJCB.com.
Looking for a top-quality tactical gear and expert advice? Look no further than Discount Tactical, your one-stop shop for all things firearms and self-defense. Located in the heart of Warrenton, we've been serving the community for 3 years with our friendly, professional, and knowledgeable staff. From custom AR builds and silencers to the largest selection of parts, we've got you covered. Self-defense weapons, SBRs, knives, ammo, custom holsters, weapon lights, optics, and body armor. Discount Tactical, online at discounttacticalarmory.com, or stop by today and gear up with confidence.
Jules on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jules on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jules on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jules on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and julesonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and julesonhampton.com. Jules on Hampton.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com. Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer on News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. This is News Talk STL.
Welcome back to the program. It's 6:25. It's a little rainy out there. If you're out on the roads, be careful. I was hydroplaning a bit. It's coming down pretty reasonably, especially as it sweeps through the northeast or northwest area, Wentzville, Warrenton, and all points west, and now coming through the city. Well, it's immigration talk, of course, dominated the election and the campaign. And it will dominate, I think, our thoughts and certainly a lot of Donald Trump and his various cabinet and agency members after the inauguration. It's already a big talk. And George Fishman from the Center for Immigration Studies joins us now, senior legal fellow there. And one of my favorite bookmark sites is CIS.org. George, welcome to the program. Thank you for being with me.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
You know, there's a couple of topics I really want to try to focus on and unpack. And I guess the first one is the discussion around deportation. We hear Tom Homan on, boy, it seems like every hour he's on the Fox News channel. He's doubling down. He's meeting with Eric Adams. He's meeting with the Denver mayor. He's meeting with all the mayors. Apparently, according to him, they're making, I think he referred to Eric Adams' meeting as a 180-degree turn. In terms of sanctuary cities, but he's also talking a lot about deportation. The left is describing that as some kind of draconian Nazi-esque kind of a move. Can this be finessed so that it doesn't cost Donald Trump so much political capital that he can't move forward with other immigration issues?
Well, I think it certainly can. Remember when the left was calling Barack Obama they were excoriating him for the deportations that occurred during his administration. He was called the deporter in chief. So they will attack anyone, Democrat, Republican. It doesn't matter who tries to enforce the immigration laws.
How does he go about doing it, though? I mean, what about the nuts and bolts of this? First of all, I guess it's been assumed that they will identify criminals. What level of criminality do we think might be attacked first? Where's the threshold? Is it someone who has a speeding ticket, or something higher than that? Is it petty theft? Is it a rape? Is it a murder? Is it just any gunshot? Let's talk about that first. What's the threshold that they should approach first in terms of the target of deportation?
Well, under the immigration laws, any alien who has committed what is called an aggravated felony is deportable on that basis. And aggravated felony is a very broad definition of crime under the immigration laws. It certainly involves things like murder and rape and things like that. It also involves theft and robbery and a whole slew of crimes. So there is a wide variety of crimes that make an alien, whether they're here illegally or whether they're here otherwise legally. If they've been convicted of a crime, they are removable.
So it doesn't. So, for instance, even a theft, does it have, like, let's just say someone breaks into my 5 and 10 store on the corner of the block. Does it have to be, aggravated in sense of a gun, or can it just be a simple break-in and larceny?
It can be a simple break-in and larceny. I believe there's a dollar threshold.
Okay.
But putting aside that, if it's above that dollar threshold, it's a deportable offense. I mean, aliens who in the United States are here at as guests of the United States, guests of the American people, and if they commit crimes in the United States, they are removable. Guests do not commit crimes at places they've been invited. Okay.
So let's just follow this through then. Let's take a virtual tour through the deportation journey of someone who, let's say commits, waves a gun in front of a bank teller's face and, gets picked up by the local authorities. What kind of obstruction is Tom Homan and, the ICE officials and others going to get at? when then they want to, is there mandatory reporting on the part of that local official, that the sheriff or the police department, to notify the government? How does that nexus occur so that we can start the process going? Let's follow it through.
Well, the easiest method of removing an alien is, let me just say one thing in advance. There are aliens who have been residing in the United States and aliens who are apprehended at the border. Essentially, aliens who are apprehended at the border, if they are not making claims to persecution and torture, can be immediately removed back to their home country. Aliens who have been in the United States for a certain period of time, whether legally or illegally, it gets much more complicated. They have to be sent to immigration court, and they have to be given an order of removal by an immigration judge. The problem is the backlog of cases before the immigration courts is now over 3 million people because of the border disaster under the Biden administration. It would take years and years and years and years to be able to just simply process legally all those aliens through the immigration courts to get those orders of removal. That would be a significant impediment. The Supreme Court has basically said an alien who has just been apprehended at the border, who has just been here for a few hours, has no constitutional rights. They're as if they haven't entered the country at all. But an alien who has been here for a period of time, they start to, legally or illegally, they start to accrue constitutional rights of due process and things like that. And so they're going to have to go through immigration court, and that's one problem. Another problem is that, especially under the Biden administration, all the aliens apprehended at the border, under federal law, they're under mandatory detention requirements. They need to be detained. But the Biden administration has released most of them into the United States. And we have really no idea where most of them are. So they would have to be tracked down and located, even if they have removal orders. And many of these aliens, once they do get to immigration court, are ordered removed in absentia, meaning they're not in the court, they're not before the judge, we don't know where they are, but they're given orders of removal. So one of the really big issues is tracking down aliens who have been already issued orders of removal. They don't have to go through immigration court. They've been through immigration court. They've received orders of removal, and they're going to have to be, tracked down. So those are some of the practical issues involved. There were a few years under the George W. Bush administration, during the Barack Obama administration, where we were able to remove, talking about aliens within the United States who have been here a while, not aliens apprehended at the border, to remove a few 100,000 a year. And so we can certainly easily do that. It was done in Republican administration, a Democrat administration, but to go significantly higher than that, it is going to be an extremely monumental task, just because of the resources involved and the due process rights the Supreme Court has granted these aliens. One of the most potentially effective ways of getting aliens who are not here legally to leave the country is not necessarily putting them through the official deportation process, but encouraging them to leave on their own. And certainly that's something that Tom Homan has already suggested, that illegal aliens should get their affairs in order and leave on their own before the Trump administration even comes in. And to the extent the government can do things such as making it more difficult for illegal aliens to work, to get jobs. In fact, many of them would leave on their own, because the whole purpose of the vast majority of them in coming into the U.S. is to get employment. And so we not only have the official methods, under federal law of removing people, it's encouraging illegal aliens to leave on their own by making it sufficiently difficult for them to work and get money in the United States.
Okay, so
And
what I'm
certainly
hearing here, George, is what I saw on your X feed, and we're talking with George Fishman at George Fishman #2 on X, was this notion where you said I just was looking at a tweet of yours from the 4th, where you coined this term, the best new term of the year award, self-pre-deportation. And I think that it's, from what you just described, it seems like such a circuitous and like an Amazonian jungle epic journey to try to get someone out of here legally that's been here for any length of time. It seems to me if we cut off the spigot of access to welfare, to jobs, so that means employers are going to have to be held to account. Seems to me that's the most expeditious. I really like your idea. Listen to this interchange between Josh Hawley and a woke lefty progressive, he should be deported, witness at the Senate hearing just this last week.
You said in an article that you wrote recently, new report shows devastating costs of mass deportation. You wrote this in October. Do you remember this piece?
Yes, that is a summary of our report.
Yeah. So in this piece, and it's also in your written testimony, you talk about how much the economy will lose if the United States actually enforces our immigration laws and deports folks who are here illegally. And I want to quote you now. You say some industries would be particularly hard hit, including construction, agriculture, and hospitality, which combined would lose more than 2.5 million workers. What's the argument here? That there aren't American workers who are available to do those jobs?
No, and as I said previously, there likely are, but the issue is that—
And you don't want their wages to rise?
I think that we want to pass a path to citizenship so we can have a level and fair playing field.
Why would you want American citizens and those who are here lawfully to have to compete against illegal immigrants?
Well, so Josh Hawley just said it. I mean, these people are delusional, George, if they think that it's okay that Americans should compete with illegal aliens. Are they out of their minds?
They unfortunately are. You're exactly right. It's had devastating impacts on Americans, especially American workers, especially those in the minority communities, African Americans, Hispanics, the wage stagnation, the vast numbers of working age Americans who have dropped out of the labor force. They're not counted as unemployed because they're no longer even seeking work. Mm-hmm. They've simply dropped out of the labor force because of the difficulty of getting jobs, of the depressed wages, by the massive influx of illegal alien workers, and it's been devastating for society. The vast numbers of working age Americans who are just out of the labor force now and just doing nothing because, to a large extent, of the vast increase in illegal alien labor in the United States.
You know, George, I think about, I was so angry when George W. Bush made that statement that we need to have these migrant, and he was talking about agricultural workers, but I think it could apply to any menial task, hamburger flipping, frying the fries at McDonald's, whatever, sort of a first level, entry level task, or something that's more labor intensive. But remember when he said, there's just jobs that Americans just won't do. Well, maybe that's because our welfare system has turned from a safety net to a hammock. And I'm sorry, George, I don't know about you, but man, I worked my butt off as a teenager doing those kind of jobs. And I learned accountability and showing up on time and saying, yes, sir, and no, ma'am, and whatever. I just reject the notion that as a pillar of the self-deportation model, we need to we need to hold employers accountable and get kids and other people back to work, even if it means starting on that lower rung in the ladder. Is that a crazy notion?
I think you are exactly right. Hey, look, when I was in high school, I worked at a movie theater a lot of times on the weekend, a lot of times at nights, and it's exactly what you said. It's learning the work ethic. It's learning how to do a job and work hard. And the percentage of teenagers who work in the United States has gone down dramatically over the decades, in large measure because of illegal alien labor. And it's a real shame.
Yeah,
it's a real shame because exactly for the reasons you stated.
All right. Well, let's. So I really like this idea of self-deportation. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to read more, of course, George's Twitter page or X page at George Fishman 2 will give you that. But lots of great stuff, blogs and other great articles on this as we move forward and analyze and hold this administration accountable to do what we voted them in to do on CIS, that's Center for Immigration Studies, CIS.org. Okay, let's switch to this issue, which seems to be a bit of a sensitive one, even among conservatives, and that is, what is the role, if there is one, of the military in supporting border enforcement, deportation efforts, let's just say the big umbrella of getting our immigration ship turned in the right direction?
Let me address that. I should first say that I have not yet been awarded the award for the best new word of the year. I'm certainly, though, hoping that I might be awarded that.
Well, we're going to do that.
That award.
Self pre-deportation. I like that.
Yes, that is what I coined. In terms of the military, the military could, if President Trump wanted to, be very involved, make a major contribution to deportation efforts. I mean, the military, the National Guard, have been used before by various presidents, but usually for very menial work. Essentially, support work, logistics work, things like that. The military has not been used for direct assistance in law enforcement. And there are two laws that form the basis here. The first is the Posse Comitatus Act, enacted in 1878, and the second is the Insurrection Act, which was the first version of it was enacted in 1792, and it's been amended many times since then. Essentially, the sort of ethical structure that leftists have developed over any talk about using the military is exactly opposite of what's true in the real world. The Posse Comitatus Act, which many people bring out as saying the military is not allowed to participate in law enforcement. The Posse Comitatus Act was enacted because of Southern anger over President Ulysses S. Grant's use of the military to protect blacks in the South after the Civil War against murder and intimidation and threats by the Ku Klux Klan, by efforts to prohibit blacks from voting, new citizens from voting. After the Civil War, the Posse Comitatus Act was enacted precisely to prevent the use of the military to protect blacks after the Civil War, and I therefore call it racist legislation. But that is the legislation that has been trotted out by the left to say you can't use the military. What they forget to say is that the Posse Comitatus Act specifically says in its text, the military cannot be used to execute the law, except if there's another law that says they can be used. That's what it says in the act. And the Insurrection Act is that other law. It has been used since 1792 by presidents ever since George Washington, who used it to suppress the Whiskey Rebellion when he was president. It's been used to protect immigrants themselves. Mobs were attacking and killing Chinese immigrants in the territories about 150 years ago, and President Grover Cleveland used the Insurrection Act to protect those Chinese immigrants. The Insurrection Act has been used to protect blacks during the civil rights days when black children were being denied the right to go to public schools, integrated public schools, under the orders of the Supreme Court. President Eisenhower used the Insurrection Act.
So it sounds like
to protect them.
So it sounds like there are legal rationales to involve the military in this invasion, in this insurrection. Just ask people whose apartment buildings have been taken over by Tren de Aragua in Aurora, Colorado. Hey, we're out of time, George, but I hope we can touch base with you again as you keep an eye on the Donald Trump administration, Kristi Noem, if she's confirmed as DHS secretary, on Tom Homan and the others that will be forging forward. And we will again nominate you for that pre-self deportation. I think that's a great one. All right. Hey, thank you very, very much for being with us. Senior legal fellow George Fishman from Center for Immigration Studies. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
Thanks so much.
Well, there he is. Boy, that makes so much sense that it's probably not going to happen. Just kidding. Are you listening, Donald? Are you listening, Kristi? I know Tom's listening. Well, maybe. He doesn't have to listen. He's got it. We'll be back with your calls. 314-912-1019. Stay tuned.
Any talk about using the military is exactly opposite of what's true in the real world.
St. Louis's place to talk.
Freedom of speech is one of the anchors of our society.
News Talk STL.
Retirement planning used to be easy. You put in your 40 years with the company, get the gold watch, and life's good, right? Wrong. Randy Tobler here. Planning for retirement today involves balancing critical decisions regarding your investments, pensions, Social Security, and more. That's why I'm urging you to start planning now. It's also why you should connect with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. They bring a combined 100 years of wealth management experience to help you with your retirement plan. You can hear Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert every Saturday morning at 9 during On the Money here on News Talk STL 1019. Their team is ready to help you design your retirement plan with the care and commitment you deserve. Request your complimentary retirement plan consultation today at clearpathinvesting.com or call 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company, Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Tony Colombo here for the Farmers Co-op Old Town Country Store in Old Town St. Peters, where they have a huge selection of products and services for your yard and home, including a full line of lawn and garden products, a full line of products for animal care, and that includes anything from livestock to the family dog or cat. They'll fill any size propane tank for about half the price of a new one, and so much more. Visit them in St. Peters on 2nd Street, right behind the QT at 70 and Mid-Rivers Mall Drive, and check out all their products and services at oldtowncountry.store.com.
Attention off-road enthusiasts. Iron Bear Customs has the strongest bumpers on the planet. Plus, brush guards, lift kits, and custom cages for all vehicles. Visit ironbearcustoms.com and mention News Talk STL for 10% off. Iron Bear Customs, built tough for the toughest terrain.
Discover Patriot Powder Coating, your family-owned specialist in Pacific. From small jobs to big projects, we got you covered. Visit our showroom or call 636-551-0377. Mention News Talk STL for 10% off.
As someone who practiced law for nearly 20 years, I can tell you it's important to have your own attorney who can help you through all of life's transitions, assist you with all your legal needs. At Civia Law, they do just that. They specialize in helping you veterans as well with your veteran benefits. They also do estate planning, elder law, real estate, business matters, and more. The attorneys at Civia Law standing by to assist you and yours today. Check out all they've got to offer, including special online forms at civialaw.com. 833-995-WILL. That's 833-995-WILL.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli, and my favorite sandwich from Capriati's is the Wagyu beef French dip. So good. It's the au jus that makes it. And the Wagyu beef is pretty good, too. I love Capriati's, and you will, too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
The Department of Veterans Affairs is so innovative, it not only improves the lives of veterans, it transforms the lives of healthcare professionals who serve them with access to the latest technologies and remarkable benefits. Transform your future at vacareers.va.gov.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com.
It's Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show, and you are listening to Randy Tobler right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Why? Because you're awesome.
So that was a fairly in-depth discussion. And I mean, George is a senior legal fellow, right? So he knows these things in and out. And so it was a little bit of we should have given a nerd alert first. It's a little early in the morning. I like that kind of stuff because it's just like, okay, I want to understand. It's lovely to hear all of the plans and all of the rhetoric, right, at the high level. Like, oh, we're going to deport these people. Well, when you start asking the questions, wait a minute, if they've been here a while, then they got to go through. First of all, and he didn't get to the answer to the question, but if you've got sanctuary cities, and even if they've told Tom Homan, wink, wink, oh, of course, I'm on board. No, we're not a sanctuary city. Oh, no. When those people are in the pokey because they got picked up for breaking into Jerome's 5 and 10 store, and they get picked up and they're in jail. Do you really think that, the policy of that city, that municipality is going to be to, call ICE and say, hey, get these people out of here? I mean, that's not their ideology. It's not their worldview.
No, and we've even seen some businesses saying that they will not allow ICE officials to come in to inspect. And I couldn't believe that was legal, but apparently that is protected by the Fourth Amendment and Fifth Amendment because corporations and businesses are considered people and they have their own policy. So
search and seizure.
Yep. So without a warrant specifically saying this employee by name and here's the exact thing that we want to investigate and look into, they can say, well, you're not allowed in here.
Yeah.
And so I can only imagine if I get hit on the highway and the person doesn't have insurance and they're illegal, they decide they want to flee and everything like that. I mean, if they can make it somewhere, run inside a business, I mean, they can just say, nope, we're not going to allow you to do any checks for this.
Wow. So these kind of questions arise, right? And you think about the practicality of getting millions of people out of here, many of whom who were coached, if they were, apprehended on this side of the border and they made this insane asylum claim of, oh, I've been persecuted. I mean, they're coached. There are attorneys who coach those people.
And
right?
NGOs, yep.
And NGOs, yeah. Okay, so you've got all of these complicating factors from a legal system. I don't know why we protect these people. Why do they have the same rights just because they've been here essentially to due process as the rest? I mean, I'm sorry, your first act was to break the law. Oh, but they didn't break the law because they claimed persecution, right?
So, and that's when you look at the official post-World War II UN agreement, that's where the asylum claim comes from, is that they are essentially, it was supposed to prevent something like the Holodomor, the Holocaust, the Armenian genocide. But going further into that, the idea that if a legal citizen here is married to or dating an illegal, or they have a kid together, and the person by federal law, you knowingly married an illegal, so you are harboring, aiding, and abetting them, should we be worried about the legal citizen that was already here being persecuted under this, the United States Code because of that? That's something that I think would have been a great discussion. But again, 15 minutes to go so in depth on something that is so relevant, but there's a lot of complications that arise from the understanding of the law that I think that it might be good to maybe have like a 30 or 40 minute sit down sometime with them.
Well, you're right. And here's the thing. So given all of that, and given that we don't have enough judges and enough courts and enough docket time, even if they are brought to justice and into the justice system, it's just a tremendous expense. It's all slogged down. There's already a backlog of, what do you say, 3 million?
Oh, yeah.
I really like the idea of this self pre-deportation. But that requires that we may not have as many Mexican restaurants.
Hey, we have Taco Bell though, right?
I mean, think about it. No, I mean, oh boy, I'm going to get in trouble for that. No, but I mean, I think
that's been said, that a lot of people that work in the hospitality industry, you may have to not have the maid come to your hotel room at the Courtyard at Marriott. You may have to just sleep in the same sheets every night for your 3-day stay. You know what I mean? Because I'm sorry, it may take until we get those positions filled up by people that should be working but are now on the welfare system. I could see a lot of good happening just in terms of our American culture, the work ethic, just our general expectations of citizenship, and just being in this great American system. But it starts with getting these people the heck out of here.
Yeah, and again, I hear the argument comparably is, well, who will pick the cotton if we free the slaves, right? That it's not a one-to-one comparison, but it's the same sort of idea, So that's why I think thinking economically, that's why they're starting with the gang members, the drug dealers, the traffickers, the smugglers, those people first, because they're doing nothing but harm. Then from there, let's figure out a way to replace the jobs that need to be filled. And again, we have a large prison population of people that are nonviolent offenders. They are serving sentences for whatever. This could be a way of rehabilitation and providing them job skills and an opportunity for when they get out of prison. Just saying.
You're right. I mean, there's some obvious low-hanging fruit here, right? I mean, these are serious criminals that are, killing young women and young girls, right? Okay, I think we can all agree that maybe we ought to truncate the legal, their legal due process options. All right, we're running out of time here, aren't we? So let's get out, and then when we come back, we will be talking to. This is going to be an interesting discussion. I want to see if high-performance brain specialist Lee Richardson, who's a PhD, can get into the head of this Mangione guy.
Ooh.
And into the head of people who are celebrating him as a hero. I mean, what the heck's that all about? We'll talk about that with Lee next break. Okay.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
My point about the governor there, it is absolutely about power.
I read this, I almost fell out of my chair.
News Talk STL.
This thing is just absolutely dripping with iron.
News, analysis, opinion.
Need reliable auto service from people you can trust? Look no further than Western Tire and Auto. For over 15 years, we've been your complete automotive repair center, family owned and operated, with owner Dean Cleathermes bringing 30 years of industry experience. At Western Tire and Auto, you're not just a customer, you're family. We promise 100% satisfaction, treating you with the transparency, respect, and honesty you deserve. Visit us in St. Peters or in Florissant. For appointments, call or check westerntireauto.com. Western Tire and Auto, your local automotive experts since 2008.
No.
Is your computer giving you headaches? Make it happy again with Jeff Computers. For 30 years, this locally and family-owned business has been the St. Louis area's trusted one-stop shop for cybersecurity, managed IT, and data recovery services. Choose the experts at Jeff Computers. They offer computer protection plans and can recover your lost or damaged data. Visit them in Ellisville or call 636-256-7901. Online at jeffcomputers.com. And tell them News Talk STL sent you.
Hey, firearms enthusiast, looking for a family and veteran-owned shop with a wide selection of products and services? Head to DG Firearms, 115 Business Highway 61 North in Bowling Green. DG Firearms has been your one-stop shop for custom ARs, Cerakoting, laser engraving, gunsmithing, suppressors, ammo, and reloading supplies. DG Firearms, 115 Business Highway 61 North in Bowling Green, and online at dgfirearmsllc.com.
Tim Jones here for my favorite St. Louis sports bar and grill experience, the go-to spot of Johnny's Hideout. Johnny's Hideout featuring over 40 big screen TVs to watch all the great games this college and NFL season. Awesome food specials every single day that I absolutely love. Bike nights, classic cars on Wednesdays, live music every weekend, and a fantastic time to visit the gorgeous Sunset Patio. Located just 10 minutes from 270 and Gravois, open 7 days a week, 11 a.m. onwards. All the information you need to know at jhideout.com. That's jhideout.com. Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge.
True story. I was with Jay Ackerman, and a waitress came up and began praising Ackerman Toyota. She was afraid she might need a new car, so she had gone to Ackerman and was told, you don't really need a new car, just new tires. Obviously, tremendously relieved and thanking Jay over and over. Another example where Ackerman Toyota did what's right for her and will for you. AckermanToyota.com. Ackerman Toyota. For life.
Attention, reptile lovers. Ready to discover your next scaly friend? Welcome to the Show Me Reptile Shop, your ultimate destination for fascinating reptiles and exotic pets. With three convenient
HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour at townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. President Biden says the recipients of his recent pardons and commutations have shown successful rehabilitation. Here's White House correspondent Greg Clugston.
When he announced commuting the sentences of nearly 1,500 people and the pardoning of 39 others, the president said the individuals are committed to making their communities safer. Recipients include a nonprofit leader who supports at-risk youth and a decorated military veteran and pilot who spends much of his time helping his fellow church members who are in poor health. But not everyone was pleased by the president's decisions. A Republican state senator said a commutation for a woman who stole $54 million from a small town in Illinois was a slap in the face to residents. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Former Israeli ambassador to the U.S., Dr. Michael Oren, says the ouster of Bashar al-Assad in Syria this week is good news for Israel.
Hezbollah withers on the vine. That's what happens. Hezbollah can't be resupplied from Iran anymore via Syria. The Shiite arc that extended, the crescent that extended from Tehran to the Mediterranean has just collapsed.
Senator Tom Cotton lays out a host of complaints about China's influence inside the U.S. in a new book he calls 7 Things You Can't Say About China.
This is the whole point of the book, are there are certain things that almost anyone faces reprisal, threats, job loss, cancellation if they say about China.
Senator Cotton spoke this week about his upcoming book with the Salem Radio Network. Apple CEO Tim Cook is the latest big tech leader to pay a visit to Mar-a-Lago. Trump says he spoke with Cook about the company's ongoing tax battles with the European Union. A number of tech companies and executives are working to improve their relationships with the incoming administration, including making donations to the president-elect's inauguration fund. This is townhall.com.
Life takes a toll on our bodies. No way around it. Whether it's sitting hours on end at your computer or working a physical job, over time your body pays the price. There is, however, an effective way to turn back the clock on pain. Relief Factor. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor helps support your body's response to inflammation. The difference? Instead of masking pain, Relief Factor helps eliminate it for good. And it's 100% drug-free. If the pains that come with living a full life are affecting you, do as so many others have. Turn back the clock on pain with Relief Factor. Their 3-week quick start is just $19.95, less than $1 a day. When you feel good, it's amazing how much more you get out of life. So visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. Try it for only $19.95. While we can't stop aging, not yet, we can stop pain. Turn back the clock with Relief Factor.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Piccadilly Palace, located in Union, Missouri. The ultimate family fun center is Piccadilly Palace. Call 314-860-6418 or visit piccadillypalace.com.
Hi, Ken Williams here. Looking to transform your outdoor space? Call Don the Nightlight Guy. Since 1989, Outdoor Decor has been illuminating St. Louis homes from landscapes to decks, patios to architectural features. Don does it all. Incandescent to LED, water features, path lighting. Don's got you covered. Mention News Talk STL and get a whopping $250 off any order over $3,000. Don Telgi, the Nightlight Guy at 636-697-2311. 636-697-2311.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
I'm going to propose something that might frighten you. So there, I'm warning you, this could be more frightening than any chainsaw massacre movie you've ever seen. And in fact, you and your family would be in this. All right, well, here's what I've been thinking. What would be happening and what would happen if Trump had lost the election? Regardless of how he lost, fair or rigged, what would change? That is a frightening thought, right? What our nation would look like after another 4 years of progressive policies, open border, promoting sexual mutilation of our children, it truly would have been the end of our nation. Look around. What you see now would not exist. The people you think you know, you don't. Those who seem to be friendly really are your enemy. But Trump did win. We all win. And even the progressives will benefit by a Trump economy, national stability, closed borders. We will be a world leader again. This last election truly was the most important election in our nation so far.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL. Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer on News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. This is News Talk STL.
Welcome back to the program. In the wake of the horrific, cold-blooded, shot-in-the-back killing of the UHC CEO, Brian Thompson, a week ago, and as we learn a little bit more about his killer and the reaction to it from the left and the right, especially those celebrating this killer, it occurred to me that we need to think about brain health and what leads a guy who was a valedictorian, had everything, just the tailwinds at his back, just went totally south, and what is driving the left into celebrating that act. Well, who better to talk with than high-performance brain specialist, coach, and consultant Lee Richardson. Dr. Richardson is a licensed professional counselor and founder of the Brain Performance Center in Dallas, and she joins us now. Thanks for being with us, Lee.
Thanks for having me.
So I think a lot of people are scratching their heads and saying, my gosh, I mean, yeah, the guy, it seems, had back pain and he had an axe to grind against the healthcare system, especially the insurers. We do too. I'm a doc. Hey, I checked out of the mainstream system. I do a membership model now. I don't deal with insurance. And patients love it. Doctors love it. But, you know, the insurance controls a lot of it. What was this just simply a matter of late onset schizophrenia, or was there something more to it? What do you think?
Well, I think that there was something more to it. I think that he was in considerable pain. And one thing that, you know, an association we don't always make is the association between the brain and the body. And when the brain when the body is dysregulated, the brain's dysregulated. I mean, I read that he was in so much pain he couldn't lay down to sleep. It impacted his ability to connect on a social level with other people. No intimacy in his life. He's a 27-year-old man. That impacts who he was. Did that give him the right to do what he did? Absolutely not. But he had his what was going on in his body affecting what was going on in his brain, and we saw red flags. He had been quite active on social media, and June, July, he just dropped out. That's a red flag. That's a behavioral change. That's saying, I'm not connecting, I'm not engaging.
So it's a matter of, at some point, everyone, all of us, either individually or collectively, I'm thinking of the American Revolution, may have enough of a grievance that, you know, depending on where one's threshold is, desperate people do desperate things. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, to some degree, yes. And, it's a different world that we live in. we're still in the after effects of COVID. What we experienced through the pandemic, it changed the way we spent our money. It changed where we worked. It changed, so many people bought houses. So that was a huge life change. And we're still in the after effects of that. And one of the things that I think, why are people cheering him on? Because everybody can identify. Everybody knows somebody that's had a claim denied or has a claim that's been delayed, and they've seen what it's done to that person and that person's family. So there's a real society issue here. And the Christmas balls that they're selling, the Christmas ornaments, delay, deny, those are symbols. Those are symbols of criticism against the healthcare industry.
We're talking with Dr. Lee Richardson, and she's the founder of the Brain Performance Center at thebrainperformancecenter.com. Okay, so now let's pivot to people who are literally celebrating what happened, and I think we'd all agree that no one, no how, no way ever can justify doing what this guy did. You might understand the anger that leads to it, but the behavior can't be excused away. I think we can all agree on that. But how do we explain the behavior of people who, as one celebrator, one reveler, if you will, wrote on X, he took action against private health insurance corporation. In this house, Luigi Mangione is a hero. Man, that might be is that as deranged as the shooter himself or not?
Sounds like it to me. I mean, what he took action, he is a suspect of killing somebody. And that, if he think, in your mind, if you think you're going to touch private health care through that action, you need some clarity.
Yeah. What about the people that are putting up the signs in New York City that, I mean, they can be prosecuted, but signs with pictures of healthcare insurance company executives, like wanted posters? I mean, I guess I understand the grievance, but what has happened to us? We've lost our collective minds, haven't we? And I guess that's what you do, is try to help people get their minds back.
Absolutely. And it's not a personal vendetta. And this is not a new issue. I saw a CNN interview done back in the early 2000s with a Cigna healthcare executive. And he was saying in his interview, I'm walking away because of the delay in healthcare processing, and I've seen the impact. In 2010, the book Delay, Deny, a very popular book, was published about the healthcare industry. So this is not a new issue. And what I'm hoping for, we always find what we're looking for. I'm going to look for some good, that this is going to be a catalyst for change.
Yeah.
And this is going to provide some positive change within the industry. But that being, it does not deny that what he did was wrong.
Yeah. I've proposed that actually, in a very ironic and twisted way, and unknowing to him, unless his soul is, looking down, well, maybe up from somewhere, Brian Thompson may actually turn out to be a martyr for a cause, right? I mean, unknowing, unplanned, but he may have taken a huge one for the team being American patients, their doctors, and the healthcare system trying to take care of patients without the obstruction, the unnecessary tyranny that comes from the very industry that he was head of the largest division of the largest insurer.
Absolutely. And is that right? No. But if there could be some benefit for the greater well-being of all, that gives my heart some peace.
Let me talk to you about in a little different way. You talk about brain health, and as I look at your website, I mean, executive function, performance coaching, cognitive behavioral therapy, neurofeedback, and so you deal with a lot of problems. ADHD, anxiety, depression. Anxiety and depression are rampant. I mean, I do a general medical direct primary care practice, and people come in ostensibly to lose weight or to get their cholesterol under control, or, one of the other things, the GYN problems. It's unbelievable, the epidemic of anxiety and depression in this country, Lee. What's driving it, and what can be done about it, short of more medications and prescriptions?
Well, medications and prescriptions is one way to go at it, but there's a whole nother way to go at it. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my dream. I think there's four things that puts the brain in dysregulated state: genetics, physical head trauma. Anytime you hit your head, you don't have to lose consciousness. You change the way neurons and dendrites are wiring and firing, how they're making that synaptic connection. Emotional trauma, and I don't wish it on us, but we've all had it, and stress. And in the world that we live in today, the stress level is so much higher. And when that brain gets dysregulated, it manifests in a different way. 1 out of 4 of us suffers from anxiety or depression. 12 million days are lost each year from work, from anxiety and depression alone. That equates to $1 trillion lost in productivity. I don't know about you, but that's a lot of money to me.
It is. And a lot of suffering, and a lot of family dysfunction, and a lot of relational dysfunction as well.
Absolutely. And thank you for making that point. It doesn't just touch the individual. It touches the world around the individual, the partners, the parents, the siblings, the coworkers. And when the brain gets dysregulated, medication is one way that you can put it into a different state, but you can do that by training the brain. And with technology that's coming out now, I visualize, and this is my dream, to go into everybody does two things. They go to work and they go to the grocery store, right?
Yeah.
Everybody does.
Sure.
That. So you go to work, you go to the grocery store. There's a brain lab. You can go in that brain lab and you can, is it the same technology that I have in my office? No. But with the advances that we've made, there is technology available that you go in and there are tools that you can use to put yourself in a more relaxed state, to calm down. It's amazing. When you calm that brain down, it is amazing how the whole quality of life changes.
Are you talking about a Keanu Reeves Matrix thing, like something sticking out of the back of my head? That kind of technology?
No, I'm not quite that extreme. I'm just talking about a headphone, set of headphones.
I know.
And so, but it is scary. I mean, if you look at what Elon Musk is doing with brain health.
Yeah, with the chips. Yeah.
So, I mean, but my intent with brain health, when I first started working in this field back in 2005, we talked about mental health. When I opened the Brain Performance Center in 2009, I didn't use those words anymore because there was so much negative stigma around them.
Mm-hmm.
I switched to brain health.
Yeah.
Then in 2021, when I opened the Brain Performance Institute, I switched to brain capital because all you got, your social, your emotional, your cognitive reserve, that's your brain capital. And that's what gets you through life. That's what allows you to live to the fullest potential.
Producer Jerome just chiming in real quick, because before you mentioned cognitive behavioral therapy, and I am by no means as well versed in brain health and how the brain works as I probably should be, but I do know that when it comes to intrusive thoughts, particularly negative thoughts or thoughts of harming others or the self, if I'm remembering correctly, the study shows that it's usually people that have something wrong with their brain that are the more likely to actually act upon that and follow through on whatever the negative bad thought would be. So in terms of what we can do for ourselves, if we notice, because again, what we're noticing is that just putting somebody on medication alone, or even sometimes having them talk with a therapist, is not really doing enough to help people not engage in these, in very wild and crazy behaviors. What are some ways that if we catch ourselves that we can actually reinforce our neural pathways to be less likely and less prone to succumbing to negative thoughts against others or intrusive thoughts in general?
Well, one thing we can all do is we can increase the neuroplasticity in our brain. And neuroplasticity, making that gray matter more plastic, is what gives mental flexibility and gives the brain the ability to change. One of the easiest things, it doesn't sound easy to me, but when you teach your brain how to do something different, and they say, "Oh, learn a new language," that does not sound easy to me. but doing something a little bit more simple, like maybe you like to cook, but you've never cooked Thai food. Or, one thing we can all do when we get in our car, quit pulling out your phone and putting in the address of where you're going. And remember that old paper thing called a map?
Yeah.
Yeah. Get it out and look at it.
Oh.
And, there's just so many things that we can do to make our brain a little more flexible. And it's much harder. A map has always overwhelmed me. I've been in ICU twice with brain injury, and after the first time, my spatial awareness was just, and it still is, mixed up. But those types of things. And if you can do something as simple as learn how to breathe and change your breathing. When I'm talking to you, I'm probably taking 12 to 14 breaths a minute. I have to say everything I want to say. But my optimal and your optimal breath rate is between 4 and 7 breaths a minute. And I just did a podcast with a lady that's a certified functional breather coach. And functional breathing is really learning how to breathe at your optimal. And there is so much information on YouTube that we can all learn something to change the way our brain and our body interacts with each other.
Okay, you just triggered me to ask you. I'm gonna ask you for a favor, and I'm gonna pull an audible. Would you mind joining us in the next segment to talk about, as a Christmas gift just to our listeners, because I think you and I have some harmony here in what we talk with our patients about just some practical things about stress management, about negative thoughts about yourself, self-doubt, various ways to relax yourself, manage stress, and some of the physical ways to nourish your brain. I think that's in the talking sphere now with RFK and the Means brother and sister. We'll do that. And before that, can I ask you, do you do telehealth? I mean, you're in Dallas. Can folks here in the St. Louis area access your services at the Brain Performance Center?
Well, they can access some of our services.
Okay.
There are some that can be done virtual, yes.
Cool. Okay. Can you join us for another few minutes?
Of course.
Okay, let's do that when we come back. A little Christmas gift from Dr. Lee Richardson, the founder of the Brain Performance Center, to help you with stress management, maybe manage that depression and anxiety that you're slipping in and out of as you move through life. When we come back here on the Randy Tobler Show on News Talk STL 1019 94.1.
This whole thing's got me thinking about how privileged I've been. America's a wonderful country. If I were a black man, I'd be furious. We're getting frustrated.
Number one for live and local
conservative talk.
There are certain issues that we need improvement. They would rather have this country on its knees than be successful.
News, analysis, opinion.
We have common sense, and the Democrats have none.
1019 and 94.1.
And I appreciate the discussion.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Hey, Tony Colombo here with Tim Jones for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway, the number one home selling team in the St. Louis area. And I can say that from firsthand experience. My wife and I were blown away from the results that we saw from working with Rodney and Jen, from selling our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible to finding our family's perfect new home. They over-delivered every step of the way. And right now, it's still very much a seller's market. So, Tim, for folks that have been thinking about selling their home, it's a perfect time to call the Wallners.
That's right, Tony. And don't forget, they're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois. So no matter where you are in the metro area, you can put St. Louis's number one home selling team to work for you. The Wallners' experience and work ethic, second to none. And of course, the numbers speak for themselves. The Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. Right now, they're working with so many qualified buyers, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner home selling team.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-pressure colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
You can't get food like this in Paris. Bring the family for breakfast and brunch to Nadine's Hash House, offering home-style cooked meals the way your mother made them. Try the savory Southside Slinger, the cinnamon streusel pancakes, or Nadine's famous hash. Make sure to follow Nadine's Hash House on Facebook for weekly specials. Open today from 7 till 1:30 in Soulard on Broadway. Nadine's Hash House. You can't get food like this in Paris. Nadine'sHashHouse.com.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show, is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com.
Hi, it's Ken Williams, producer and Thunder Stealer for the Vic Porcelli Show. Weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on News Talk STL. But right now, let's get back to Randy Tobler Show on News Talk STL.
Dr. Lee Richardson from the Brain Performance Center. She's the founder, shall we say, the grand poobah of that center. Joins us now, and we're glad for that. And give us a couple more minutes. You know, you talked about the fundamentals or the things that influence brain health, Lee, and genetics and trauma, stress, and physical health. I've been talking an awful lot about with patients about what you closed the last segment with, and that was breathing, the importance of breathing. When I ask people to take a big breath, the belly goes in and the chest rises, and I'm like, no. A big breath, a big, fulfilling, oxygenating breath is when your belly goes out. Don't suck it in. Let that belly go out as that diaphragm draws air into the lungs. It's amazing. We forget, with all of our stress and our frenzy, we've forgotten how to breathe.
Oh, we absolutely have. And I tell people breathe low and slow.
There you go.
Push that air down, down low, so that you can feel it around your diaphragm. And it is so, I don't understand why it is so hard for people to work on that. And anxiety, for people with anxiety, you can use your breath rate. If you slow your breath rate down, you'll slow your heart rate down. If you can get your breath and your heart rate to dance together, you're creating heart rate variability. That's a sign of wellness. Yeah. It's something that we all have to do.
You know, a guy named Herbert Benson founded the Harvard Mind-Body Institute, 40 years ago. And they've shown remarkable immune benefit and cardiovascular benefit, even some extension of 4th stage cancer survival among breast cancer victims and infertility advances. So we talk with people, just get in a quiet place a couple times a day, you know, and do some mindful meditation, prayer, whatever, and do some yoga breathing, the deep breathe low kind of breathing like you talk about. It helps, and it's good for the brain. What else? What are you saying these days about the microbiome, the health of our gut bacteria, our microbiome, and the two-way neuronal and endocrine connection between our gut and our brain?
Well, the gut's a second brain. I mean, I wrote about that in my book, Turn Your Brain On to Get Your Game On. That's where all the neurotransmitters come from, is your gut. So, and the latest research is linking autism to what's going on in the gut. So I think that, and that's something that we can all control, but that gets into lifestyle choices. And those are sometimes very difficult to change. Sometimes those are a big part of your culture. And I tell people, you don't have to eliminate, but you have to balance.
Yeah.
You don't need fried chicken every Sunday afternoon. How about once a month?
Yeah, you're so right. You know, I hadn't been able to work out for 3 or 4 days this last week. And I told my wife, I said, my gosh, I just feel slow at the office and everything. So I jumped into the pool at the Y and swam, just a little bit, just about 20, 25 minutes. And I couldn't go to sleep all night. I was like a manic mess. You know, my mind was just on fire last night. And I'm like, that was a reminder that even if you just climb a few flights of stairs or take a walk around the campus, if you're working, in an office, it's so important to move in terms of our brain health. No?
Oh, absolutely. The brain needs to move and the body needs to move. And when you're moving, when you're exercising, you're releasing endorphins, and endorphins make you feel better. And I think that when you sit and you just become more lethargic. The one piece of advice I have for everybody is remember this: the brain weighs 3 pounds. It's 80% water. It does not have the capacity to retain water like other parts of your body. Stay hydrated. Everybody out there should be drinking half of their weight in fluid ounces every single day. And that does not mean coffee. That means water.
Lee, have you seen producer Jerome's head? His brain doesn't weigh 3 pounds. I think we're talking 5 pounds, Jerome. I think we're talking 5 pounds. Big brain and lots of great thoughts.
Maybe 1.5 pounds, but
No.
and I appreciate you bringing up the gut mind connection, because that's something I don't think a lot of people realize, is that what you put into your body can definitely affect your mood and how your brain functions. But alongside that, and this might be a little bit more pertinent to my generation, since I'm one of the younger guys. We grew up with the TV, video games, social media, so it seems like we're always stimulated. And I know that a lot of the stuff is designed for that dopamine release, and what that can do is, it fatigues your receptors, and so not enough people are getting serotonin, but everybody is overstimulated. Are there ways, what are some warning signs where somebody should be able to say, wow, I'm feeling this way, or I'm thinking this way, maybe I'm being overstimulated? And what are some effective ways to try to give yourself a rest almost, and then let yourself recover from that?
Well, I think, look at your behavior. Are you more irritable? If someone interrupts your digital time, how do you react to that? Because what's really more important, your digital time or your interaction, your personal interaction? I think, even most phones will tell you how much time you spend on the screen every week. And I'm sure there's something that you can set up in a computer that does the same thing. So take your own, be self-aware. Get your own understanding of what amount of time are you spending. And then try to do a little digital detox. I mean, digital detox can mean you don't have to check your email every hour. Because you don't have to play video games every day. You don't have to be looking at a computer screen and social media. And social media can be for a lot of people, it's fun. For a lot of people, my problem with social media is it's created a comparative society. And you know what happens every time you compare? You got a winner and a loser. And even if in reality, there is no loser. Even if you dub yourself the loser in your brain, that's not good for brain health.
No. I guess I have to stop looking at those pictures of RFK with his shirt off, because I keep comparing my lack of a six-pack to his. All right. Hey, this has been a lot of fun and very instructive. And I would hope that folks would check out thebrainperformancecenter.com or a book that you've written. And I think that would be another one: Turn Your Brain On to Get Your Game On, the how, what, why to peak performance. Our guest has been Dr. Lee Richardson. And we thank you for joining us. It's been a real blessing for our pre-Christmas broadcast. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, there she is. Lots of good information there. We have to nourish our brains for our brain to treat us well. There's just no doubt about it. And I think we neglect that. There's just this mental health crisis that is upon us. You're so right. I mean, Jerome, the dopamine addiction is just insatiable. And it becomes a vicious cycle. The more that we get down that rabbit hole, when we just start looking on Facebook, because, my wife will do that. She said, did you see what, someone from high school posted? And I get 10 minutes later, I'm looking at, some TikTok reel on someone doing a dance move. It's like, what in the world? How did that happen?
Well, and so that's something I've been studying a lot lately on my own time, is that not only is the interaction that we're primarily getting with each other is oftentimes people we don't really even know through social media, but the way that social media is even designed, the colors that they use, the way that, you can like something, now you can heart something. If you ever noticed, there's no option anymore to dislike something, to hate something that lets somebody know, you're dead wrong. So you'll see something that you might disagree with, and a lot of people love it. A lot of people are there. Then, differences of opinions. So you can either remove people through blocking them entirely, which is also not good when it's people in person. But I think the entire experience, and then again, right now we have how many screens on my end of things? We have a screen on your thing. We are always being bombarded with all this information. And so it's not enough to just say, I'm going to go and eat some sauerkraut and get some kombucha and fix my gut biome. And that's all good.
You got it.
I'm
You
trying
got
to do
it.
that. But
That's good. It's good for you.
But the amount of information we're constantly bombarded with, and then there are people that they're not sleeping well because they finally feel like they have a break. And just like you said, they're scrolling in the darkness on their phone for hours and they don't realize how much time has gone. And I think that was a very brilliant segment there, because these are hopefully things we can bring into the holidays with us when we're thinking about Christmas.
I like the way she's approaching this, and I really think it's sort of a both and approach to brain health. If you are someone you love or know, needs a little help, there's nothing wrong with, and I think it's absolutely proper to get a little medication help while you address and implement and hardwire some of these better lifestyle practices, because these things don't happen overnight, right? I mean, it's like unlearning a bad golf swing. If you're addicted to social media and spending 5 hours a day on it, many of our kids are spending 3 hours in front of a screen
at least
outside of school is what the numbers I've seen. Okay, I mean, I think it's going to be a rude awakening, either personally or for anyone we know and love and are trying to coach and counsel, to say, stop it over. Now we're just going to have conversation at the dinner table. Give me your phone. You'll get it tomorrow morning. Take it to school. Give it to the principal. That's not going to work. That's going to result in rebellion. The better thing to do is model the good behavior, start serving some different choices at home, make the dinner without, there's ways to do it. But sometimes when people are too far down the mental health road of being mentally ill, they need a little medicine to just stabilize, almost like a crutch while your fracture heals, right? And then you let it heal.
Yeah. And just based on, the people in my life and the experiences and stuff like that, using it as a crutch while your leg heals is a lot different than using it like a wheelchair for the rest of your life.
Bingo.
And I know counselors and therapists and stuff like that. I'm related to a couple of them. And that's kind of what the model of care looks like nowadays. It's more so about, we're going to get you on the right dosage for now, because you're always going to build a tolerance over time, just like, with any drug, basically. And so we might talk about a few things here and there, but it's a lot more about making them feel good and then making them take, medicine, than it is saying, well, what responsibilities are you giving yourself? What's your routine like? What are your habits like? Who are you associating with? What are you doing for leisure? And what are you like? How often do you challenge yourself? And that was a care that I think that a lot of people need. If you're not giving a child, any sort of minor responsibility or teaching them how to do these skills, then when they get older, they're not going to intrinsically want to do that.
I think you're so right. In that vein, I'd like to play a clip, R6, please. Our clip, R6, digital file R6. This is a hearing the other day with I believe he's the acting FDA head, Dr. Califf, talking about our food supply, the addictive and non-nutritious nature of it. And there was quite a discussion that went on. And then he said this about the ultra-processed foods. And I think you're going to be hearing more and more of that, not only from a high on high with, RFK and Dr. Bhattacharya and Dr. Makari, but also from Dr. Tobler, because it's so important. Listen to this.
You're walking into a grocery store and the inexpensive ultra-processed food is half the cost of the fruits and vegetables. And it's carefully configured to really hit that brain. The way to think about this, have you ever tried to eat one potato chip? It's almost impossible. So there's a reason for this. And there's a lot more research that needs to be done, because we couldn't uncover the addiction circuits until the GLP-1s came along, because what they're doing is actually interfering with this circuit between the gut and the brain that tells you eat more.
Wow.
And there are actually 3 or 4 pathways involved here that are really fascinating that we're going to learn a lot more about. But here's a way to think about it. The food is probably addictive. And
engineered to be addictive.
This is not an FDA policy. This is my opinion, having looked at it.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
So that's Dr. Robert Califf, and he is the outgoing FDA head. And the guy has a lot of wisdom. He was grilled and hammered. Why doesn't the FDA do more to regulate this? Well, look, there's a limitation to what an agency can do that is responsible for ensuring the safety of every drug that's out there, including the generics, the way they're manufactured. We just saw a big recall on Cymbalta, the generic of Cymbalta called duloxetine, tens of thousands of bottles, if not hundreds of thousands now. There was a second recall just late this last week. So they have a huge charge, and you can criticize them all you want, but they have a huge, huge mission. And I think we need to relook at what they are about. But part of it is to ensure food safety. And now I think it's becoming perfectly clear that the foods that come in crinkly packages tend not to be safe as a rule. The foods that are brightly and artificially colored tend to not be as safe as the whole, clean, close to the ground, close to the source foods. And this plays into the microbiome issue, the preservatives. Look, if you have something in a plastic clear wrapper that has a shelf life of about 3 generations down the road beyond you, there's a problem there. There's enough preservative, it's probably not going to be good for your microbiome. And I guarantee you there's so little nutrition in return for the investment in calories. It's not going to be good for your gut or your inflammatory component or anything else. So we need to start rethinking this. And I'm glad that conversation is had, because I do believe that, did you know that most of the serotonin that you have is actually coming from your gut?
Wow.
It's coming from your gut. And so that's a big problem, right? If we're not treating our guts well, our microbiomes are really scarce deserts compared to those in the underdeveloped world. They, on the other hand, suffer from, infectious diseases as a major cause of their death. We've sort of done away with that. But I'm just saying there's a lot of conversation to be had, and we'll be having more of it here in the program. When we come back, we're going to talk with Virginia Kruta about drones, because everyone's talking about drones. Mixed messages coming from on high. We'll see what she has to say about it. Stay tuned for more on The Tobler Show. It's 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home.
Hi, I'm Helene Tobler, culinary nutritionist at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Here we do practical wellness. Dr. Randy and I have a common sense approach to healthcare. My passion is helping our members enjoy better nutrition, because food is medicine. We approach problems with a lifestyle foundation and cutting-edge medical tool chest. At Body of Health, it's about being your healthiest you. If you want to experience healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Replacing your roof is always a big deal and a big decision. That's why I want you to call my friends, the folks that we've trusted with our homestead, Eureka Contracting and Roofing. 636-938-ROOF. That's 636-938-ROOF. They are veteran-owned, over 30 years of experience in the construction and insurance industry. They'll replace 100% of your roof, siding, fascia, and gutters. They'll come to you with a personal consultation. Give them a call anytime that Mother Nature strikes you. 636-938-ROOF. Available 24/7 at eurekacontracting.com. That's eurekacontracting.com.
Want to hear the best kept secret in St. Louis? Steph's Pizza. We're not afraid to compare squares. According to our customers, we have the best St. Louis style pizza anywhere, and we can't disagree. Dine in, pick up, or delivery at all 3 Steph's Pizza locations. In Lake St. Louis at 111 Potterford Trail, St. Peter's on Juggerman, and in St. Charles on Zumbel. Check us out at Steph'sPizza.com. Steph's Pizza. We're not afraid to compare squares.
Hey folks, Tim Jones here with Eric from Newstetter's Fine Jewelers. Eric, Newstetter's not one of those giant, big, sterile, big box stores, is it?
Nope. Newstetter's Fine Jewelry is a family-owned local tradition since the 60s. We're a full-service jeweler that does on-site repair as well as custom creations and one-of-a-kind pieces you will see nowhere else. We don't sell jewelry. We sit and listen to find out exactly what you truly desire in fine jewelry and give you an education so you'll fall in love with your piece for a lifetime. Don't let fine and fine jewelry confuse you. We have pieces starting at $100 that will keep your loved one happy for a lifetime and look like you spent thousands. We also have a wish list to ensure your loved one gets exactly what they want, and we're also bringing back a layaway program to make your life easier. Newstetter's is a true jeweler.
I can personally attest to that. Newstetter's Fine Jewelers at wowdiamonds.com. That's Newstetter's Fine Jewelers, wowdiamonds.com.
Parents want more choices rather than fewer when it comes to their children's education. And now some Missouri parents will have one more option to get their children the best education available. Low-income students and those with disabilities in Missouri's largest communities can now apply for an Empowerment Scholarship Account, or ESA. With an ESA, the money the state would normally pay to your child's public school goes into an account that you control. You can use the funds for private school tuition, online learning programs, a private tutor, or other approved uses. You can tailor your child's education. For too long, Missouri officials have operated on the mistaken notion that parents only need one choice. They're assigned public school based on their address. ESAs put parents in charge. It's school choice at its best, with money following the students to the place that best fits their needs. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. This Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show, is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli. Come hang out with Ken Williams and me every Monday through Friday from 9 to 11. But right now, it's back to the Randy Tobler Show on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Upon review of available imagery, it appears that many of the reported sightings are actually manned aircraft that are being operated lawfully. The United States Coast Guard is providing support to the state of New Jersey and has confirmed that there is no evidence of any foreign-based involvement from coastal vessels. And importantly, there are no reported or confirmed drone sightings in any restricted airspace. Now, that said,
Ding, 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 ding. What is that? That's my BS meter just hitting totally. It's just being totally pegged on one side, right? I mean, my BS meter is so up. Let's see if Virginia Cruta's BS meter is up. Virginia, welcome into the program. So Admiral Kirby, who told us the Afghanistan withdrawal went real well, and from an administration that said the border is secure, and Joe Biden is cognitively, shooting 100%. I just don't buy it. What about you?
Well, I think this administration has kind of painted itself into a corner to the point where we know that if they're saying something and it's like an adamant, there is no two ways about this, it's probably not true.
Okay, that nailed it. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
So that's one problem that they have. So even if he is telling the truth, no one's going to believe him. That's part one.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. When they stand up, I don't know if you saw the statement from the FBI and the Secret Service on this, where they were saying, okay, we don't exactly 100% know what this is, but we know it's not dangerous, so go back about your business. Like, okay, first off, if you don't know what it is, you can't tell us it's not dangerous. So
that's major cognitive dissonance, right? I mean, that just doesn't square. It's illogical. You can't say you don't know, but don't worry. It doesn't make sense.
Right. And then, so here's my question.
Okay.
If this is just normal air traffic, whatever, I get that northern New Jersey is one of the busiest air traffic places in the world, because think about how many airports are in this area. You talk about just in the near vicinity, you've got LaGuardia and Kennedy and Newark, and plus probably 36 smaller airports.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to figure, okay, maybe people are seeing excess traffic because traffic's boosted. We're talking about the weeks after Thanksgiving and into Christmas. Kids going home at the end of college and, for long breaks. There are going to be a lot more manned aircrafts traveling at this point. So theoretically, it could be more manned aircraft in the sky. But again, now you're faced with the fact that the administration is telling you that's what it is.
Well, what about the
And you
fact,
have to
Virginia? What
question-
about the fact that sheriffs or police officers, I mean, law enforcement officials have sent up helicopters, and as they approach these things, they have said, and it's been reported by credible sources that they have said that as they approach these things, the lights go off and they're not traceable. So, I mean, that doesn't. What's going on? I mean, something's rotten in Denmark or in New Jersey.
Right. And so that's the other thing. Now, here's the question I have. And Dan Bongino, I think, approached this too. Why New Jersey? Especially why northern New Jersey? Because this is where, like, kind of everybody in the media lives. Because, like, the entire media is based in Washington, D.C. and New York. But mostly New York. And most of the media people that work in New York live in northern New Jersey. So how do you put out something that you guarantee gets media coverage? You put it where all the media people are. And so his theory is that it's probably something foreign, either controlled by China or Iran, and they're like just trying to do something and say, see, here's how close we can get before Joe Biden leaves office and Trump is in the White House. He also suggested that the U.S. government absolutely does know what this is. They just don't want to tell us.
So you think it's maybe domestic? It's domestic, either military or some other intelligence agency, just doing a beta test on us, and it just, New Jersey happens to be, we're going to get an awful lot of people who can create a lot of noise to talk about it. Why wouldn't you do it if you were testing it and just making sure it was working in behalf of, not in spite of, the American people? Why wouldn't you do it out in, the desert or out in Wyoming or Montana or somewhere?
Well, if you want to test human reaction, you can't do it there.
I know that. But that's sort of frightening. If the government, is that what they're up to?
I don't know. I think that if they wanted us to know that they had that capability, they would tell us instead of like, oh, by the way, this is nothing. Don't worry about it.
So this is a
don't
twisted
look
way of reassuring us that we've got our chops together when it comes to drones, and whether it's Ukraine, Middle East, or China, that we can compete.
No, I don't think. I think it's more likely that somebody else is in control of this, and we know who it is, and just don't want to tell anybody.
Chinese balloon syndrome?
Something like that. Yeah.
That's reassuring. Thanks for that one,
Yeah.
Virginia.
No, I just think it's more likely. I mean, again, I'm going to go back to Dan Bongino and the Occam's razor theory. Like, which takes the least number of intuitive leaps?
Yeah.
Which possible reaction takes the least number of, jumps, conclusion jumps here? Like, do we believe that our government is not only lying to us about what it is, but who's controlling it? And, like, are they going to do it and then tell us they're not?
Yeah.
Or that they don't know what it is? Or is it just this appeared and they're scrambling
Well,
to not tell us what it is?
Whatever it is, they have lost whatever remaining credibility that they ever had. I mean, it's just, this is the final straw, and I'm counting the days. What is it, 36 now, I think. All right, let's pivot because we only have about 3 minutes here. Got to ask you about the reaction to the Daniel Penny acquittal and the call for violence, on the other hand, against anyone, including Daniel Penny, apparently, in New York City. Listen.
We need some black vigilantes.
That's right.
People want to jump up and choke us and kill us for being loud. How about we do the same when they attempt to oppress us?
Sounds like BLM is alive and well, Virginia.
Yeah, no, I mean, we kind of expected that. There's always going to be a few that are yelling about that, because when they stand up and they say no justice, no peace, that's not what they mean. They mean, I get my way or I'm going to throw a tantrum. And I mean, we saw it after Michael Brown. We saw it after George Floyd. We saw it pretty much every time something like this happens, regardless of the circumstances, even when it comes out inevitably that the person who was killed did something to, you know, to put themselves in the situation. You know, for example, Michael Brown charging the police officer and trying to take his gun. I mean, what did you think was going to happen? But they run with the pre-scripted narrative that this was an innocent, unarmed person, and no amount of evidence to the contrary will shake them from this view. And then once you've got there, then you're like, okay, well, he was innocent and the police killed him, or this other person killed him, and therefore, you know, we deserve justice. Well, justice isn't justice in a court of law. Justice is the outcome we've decided is justice. And if they don't get that, that's when, I mean, if you ask the average Black Lives Matter activist how many Black unarmed Americans are killed every year by police, they're going to get the number wrong, because they think it's a lot, and the average is like single digits.
No, you're right, but still, they are sure raising a lot of Cain, and you just wonder. I mean, you'd like to see that this whole movement is absolutely squelched and it's all over with, but I think that we still have not yet convinced them that there's no animus against Black people. If this would have been a Black guy named Daniel Penny,
there is no convincing them.
I know. If this would have been a Black guy named Daniel Penny that did that, there would have been nothing. You'd have heard nothing. That's the sad part. Hey, well, we got to run, Virginia, but I want to thank you for being with us. You're going to hang with us next week, right? Pre-Christmas show?
Sure.
All right. I will be expecting you to give a little rendition of the Christmas song during the initial part of your appearance. Is that possible?
No.
Not going to happen?
I mean,
Okay.
no. Well, for one, it's if you lined up all the Christmas carols and ranked them top to bottom, I'm not sure it would make it onto the bottom rung. I don't like it.
Oh, really? The Christmas song?
Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
no.
Grape Nuts Roasting on an Open Fire. I love that one. That's the best one ever. Okay, well, we're going to have to talk about that next week. Thank you, Virginia. Have a good weekend. We'll see you. All right, that's it for Virginia. When we come back, some space age technology we're going to introduce you to in the dental world, as well as just overall dental health. We'll be talking about it with Drs. Daniel Cusimano, Megan Dwyer. Stay tuned.
St. Louis's exclusive home of the Dan Bongino Show.
Folks, there is no emergency brake on the behavior of the modern liberal progressive. None. They believe in the collective power of the state imposed upon you. Double-barreled middle finger. If you resist, they will crush you at a moment's notice. You don't believe that. Conservatives believe in God-given civil liberties for everyone.
Dan Bongino, weekdays at 11 on News Talk STL.
Craving delicious homemade pizza made with the freshest ingredients? Head to Woodson Stonefire in the heart of St. Charles. This family-owned restaurant offers a wide variety of pizzas and comfort foods, all crafted with passion and love. Woodson Stonefire is the only place to go for the best pizza and wings in town. Why settle for a chain pizza when you can enjoy local, homemade goodness? Woodson Stonefire, 3120 West Clay in St. Charles. For carry-out, call 636-493-0532.
Tony Colombo here for the cleaning pros at Zero Res, the team we trust with keeping our home clean and healthy. And the folks at Zero Res know how important it is to you to have a clean, healthy home this holiday season. And that's why they have this great offer for you right now. Book a cleaning with Zero Res and mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. Plus, you can take $75 off an air duct cleaning. Again, just mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or when you book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
In the fast-paced world of digital marketing, making connections is a challenge for any business. But what if we told you there is a place where connections aren't just made, they're grown? Meet 2060 Digital, your premier Google partner and top-tier digital agency. We don't just follow trends, we set them. At 2060 Digital, we're not just another agency, we're your strategic partner. We dive deep into your challenges and develop solutions that drive measurable outcomes. Ready to elevate your digital presence with campaigns that connect? Google 2060 Digital today.
Dive into adventure with Great American Divers. We're your local veteran-owned scuba center offering PADI certification courses, equipment repairs, and dive travel opportunities. From beginners to experts, we got you covered. Kids can join our SEAL Team classes, and we even host pool parties. Our experienced staff is passionate about teaching, and we're the only center in the area with our own indoor heated pool. Great American Divers on Central School Road in St. Charles. Visit greatamericandivers.com. Great American Divers, where adventure runs deep.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash?
KLGY HD3 Clay K270BW Belfast KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
This hour at townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Texas has filed a state litigation against a New York doctor under the terms of its pro-life heartbeat law.
The lawsuit accuses New York doctor Margaret Daly Carpenter of violating Texas law by providing the drugs through telemedicine to a Texas patient. They are seeking up to $250,000. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton said the 20-year-old woman who received the pills ended up in a hospital with complications.
That is Ed Donahue reporting. The litigation marks a new challenge to interstate telemedicine. It also introduces constitutional issues which put the terms of the Texas pro-life law against New York State's so-called shield laws. Those are aimed to protect doctors in that state when they practice abortion procedures over the phone in states where it is not allowed. The head of America's premier small business advocacy group says the tax bill President Trump enacted during his first term breathed new life into small business owners around the country.
Whether it's hiring more people, paying more wages, giving them more benefits, or just reinvesting back into, machinery and equipment to make their businesses grow. And so super critical that gets extended.
Alfredo Ortiz, president and CEO of the Job Creators Network, was interviewed this week by the Salem Radio Network. Less than 10 minutes, that's all it took for a large pile of toys donated by the White House staff to disappear as Jill Biden and children from military families sorted them into boxes as part of the annual Marine Corps Reserve Toys for Tots campaign for needy children.
This season can be filled with excitement and wonder with colorful lights and hot chocolate and presents. Your children certainly aren't shy. That's a good thing. As a teacher, I'm telling you, that's a good thing.
Toys for Tots has been at it for 77 years. More from townhall.com.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts.
Hi, Mom. Ooh, it's so cold out there. Surprise, I brought you something.
Socks. Oh, Heat Holders Original. Wow, this is so soft and cozy.
Heat Holder socks are the warmest. I use them for snow sports and around the farm. I also bought a bunch for my new work site. The other guys were so jealous they all bought them. And the best part is the socks come in 3 levels of warmth. Originals, lights, and ultralights.
Oh, Jill can use the ultralights when dog walking. Oh, boy. I know what everyone is getting for gifts this holiday.
Heat Holder socks are the warmest, and independent lab tests prove they're 7 times warmer than cotton socks. We use a proprietary 3-stage process, advanced insulating yarn, a long loop thermal pile, and brushed on the inside. This process helps trap warm air closer to your skin longer, keeping your feet warm, comfortable, and dry, making Heat Holders the softest, warmest, and most comfortable socks guaranteed. We also have hats, gloves, throws, and so much more. Go to heatholders.com. Use the code HEAT to save 15% off your order. Free shipping for orders over $25. Go to heatholders.com.
Navigating healthcare can be tricky, but you don't have to do it alone. The Navigator Project is here to help Missourians every step of the way. We provide free, personalized assistance with enrollment in the healthcare marketplace. We'll guide you through your options, help find the right plan, and get the coverage you need. Go to ma4web.org and select the Services tab to find a navigator. Brought to you by the Missouri Association of Area Agencies on Aging.
Ready to soar beyond your limits? The U.S. Air Force and Space Force offer more than just a job. It's a launch pad for your future. With over 200 career paths, competitive pay, benefits, free education, 30 days paid vacation, and a chance to travel the globe, all while serving your country with pride. Your journey starts here. Call Jeremy Jefferson in St. Louis at 314-295-6834 or visit airforce.com and spaceforce.com today.
Tim Jones here for AMF Electric, in business since 1965, offering a full line of industrial, commercial, residential, electrical, and system services. AMF is a merit shop. They work successfully for all owners who favor freedom of economic choice. Yes, even on other AFL trades jobs. At AMF Electric, they're unabashedly pro-American. Call them, 314-647-4066. Online, amfelectric.com. That's amfelectric.com.
There's no pizza like Napoli Brothers Pasta and Pizza in the district Chesterfield Valley. That's because in Napoli, your pizza is in a coal-fired oven. One taste, you're going to want more. Grab a gift card, good for all Napoli locations. And a few doors down, enjoy the atmosphere of Lit Cigar Lounge. High-end cigars, single-barrel whiskey. Before you leave, pick up gift cards for family and friends at Lit Cigar Lounge.
This hour, the Randy Tobler Show, brought to you by Advanced Dentistry Now. Doctors Dan Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer. 636-978-0226 or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com.
When you cast your eyes upon the skylines of this once proud nation, can you sense the fear and the hatred growing in the hearts of its population?
Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer on News Talk STL.
This is Larry Connors. Right now, you're listening to Dr. Randy Tobler. Informative, engaging, enjoy. And I invite you to listen to the Larry Connors USA Daily Report, Monday through Friday at 6.
Welcome back into the third hour of the Tobler Show this morning. Hope your Christmas planning is going well, and I hope you're staying partially dry if you're out in the wet weather today. We have a couple of in-studio guests who are friends of mine, and they're also my dentists. So that tells you that they are super good people, because I only have the best of friends and dentists when I do business. They are Drs. Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer, and they preside at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. Welcome in.
Good morning.
All right. A little closer there, Megan.
Okay,
We got to get you
sorry.
in. There we go. All right. I wanted to talk dental health because, we earlier in the show, we talked with the brain performance expert, Dr. Lee Richardson, and we talked about the important, in terms of brain performance, of the gut health and trauma and stress and everything. But in terms of our general health, the way our teeth look, the way our gums are either well or not so well treated, the way we grind our teeth, there's a lot of things in and around the mouth. I think most of us just think, I got to go to the dentist and get the drill, baby, drill. I mean, it's a Trump thing, but no, but many people just think about the white teeth that they see on the Fox News feed. There's so much more than that, right, Megan?
Right. Yes. I mean, the bacteria, in your mouth all the time, it can be just like gut flora, can be either healthy or not healthy. And so it's best, obviously, if it's better bacteria, because you don't want that traveling. It affects your whole body. And then obviously stress responses, you can see those in the mouth too.
And Dr. Dan, you've been with us before, and I know that you did some work on me last week, and I'm amazed at the artistry that is involved. And again, because, look, these days, because everything's in high definition, everyone's got a camera. You've always got a camera on you, whether you're a professional or you're not. And as the job scene changes and people are having to do interviews either to climb the ladder in the company or move to a different one, appearance matters. And that's part of what you do too, is cosmetic and restorative stuff.
Yeah, cosmetics is very important. There's a lot of people out there that we've treated, so many of them, that tell us they just are afraid to smile. They never do in pictures, because when we ask them to smile just to see what they show, they don't even remember how to do it. And and it's really sad, because smiling is a great way to show how you feel every day. And we want that to change for sure, especially with how, when we think about people that are moving to a different profession or, taking these family photos for Christmas that are coming up nowadays, we've got to make sure that everybody's confident in their smile. It's very important.
Okay, so folks, we brought some show and tell, and well, I didn't, but the good doctors did, because I discovered a technology was there, and I posted on my Facebook when I was there a week before last for the cleaning, and I was so impressed because I knew it was a coming attraction. I know you've been doing this for a little while now, and I'll tell you a story. Back in the late '90s, early 2000s, I was always a nail biter. And I trained myself not to. But in the process of doing that, I chipped my front teeth to the point that I had to get crowns. And your Dr. Omas, who was the founder of the practice, put some crowns in me. And I remember, okay, I had to go in, and then I was like Mr. Peg. I looked at myself, my God, I looked like the Beverly Hillbillies. Just these little pegs. This was during the process. And then the temporary crowns. And then you send off the pictures to the lab, and the lab does this and that. And I thought, wow, that's really inconvenient. I know that in my practice, I try to get as much done in a visit as I can. And I thought, wouldn't that be nice if dentists can do it? Now you have surmounted that challenge, and it's a cool machine. And I saw the machine in work. So we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But let's get down on some raw health, first of all, because you talked about the bacteria and everything. What does gingivitis, unhealthy gums, what does that mean for our overall health? And what can we do about it that's not too hard?
Yeah.
So when you've got gingivitis, it's a cascade of events that can lead to other systemic issues, because the everything starts from the mouth going forward. And so when we've got bleeding gums, irritation, it again, it can lead to the foundation breaking down. So when you see a tooth, it's multifactorial in terms of its overall health. We like to say too, when we do our overall exams, we start with the foundation, which is the gum tissue, the bone underneath, because there's no point in treating a tooth if your foundation is going to fall apart. And that's the most important thing. And, if you're not getting that checked regularly, your teeth may feel fine. And it's kind of a silent killer in a way too. We see it all the time where patients just come in, they're like, I don't have anything wrong with me. Nothing hurts. But it's one of those slow, chronic, progressing things that can break down on you. And then all of a sudden it's gone too far. And a lot of things that patients will forget and just don't even know about is that bone doesn't regenerate. So once you lose it, it's gone. So getting it checked early and often is very important.
I see it systemically in terms of higher risk of preterm labor. We know it affects cardiovascular disease because it's an inflammatory process.
Yes.
I tend to routinely get inflammatory markers on my patients, something that the big insurers don't think is medically necessary. But when you test those, often you'll get really high numbers. And I can't find any other source for it. But then when I start asking about, like, do you floss? What's that? So that really does have an impact on the whole body. So it's very, very important. And I know that you guys emphasize that. Your great assistants always talk about that too. And you do a lot of teaching and education. That's important to me. All right, let's get into some exciting news here. Tell us about your new toy. Well, not your toy. It was like a Christmas gift last year, wasn't it?
That's right.
It was about this time, when we got it.
And look, and I mean this in all the kindest way. When I was talking to you about this, I felt like I was talking to kids in a candy shop because you guys were so excited over it because you're so patient-centric. Tell us about the new technology and what it does.
So what we have is a 3D CEREC mill. It's called a Prime Mill now. And so what we can do is, instead of, if anyone remembers the old goopy impressions that we used to get when you probably had your crowns done, we no longer have to do that. We can take an intraoral scanner into the mouth, and
goopy impressions are what people have when they first meet Joe Biden.
Right, exactly. But so now it's just a series of 3D pictures, which are really nice, little camera, and cool. So it's a better impression.
It's a beautiful picture. I mean, it's like high definition.
Yes, and so then we digitally send that to our mill, and it's all computer generated software, and we design the crowns ourselves, and then send that information to our mill, and we fabricate a crown same day. The mill carves out of a block, and then we fire it in a kiln. So because usually we're using zirconia, so that's the way that we make our crowns.
What's the temperature that kiln get up to? You told me
it was like 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow, man! Think of the pizzas you could make with that. Like in about 10 seconds, slide that baby in there, and then you got this piping hot pizza. Yeah. So show us, if for anyone who's streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble X. Let's show you. This is the block that
so that's
goes
how
into
it starts.
This, yeah,
Mhm.
goes into the device.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, you're in a room 4 rooms down the hall,
Right.
right?
Most of the time, yep.
And you've taken whatever, and you've
Yeah.
taken the picture,
Yep.
and then somehow and then you have to model the picture like an artist, like a sculptor, to
Right.
figure out then what the final product's going to look like, because the camera doesn't give you everything, right? That's sort
No.
of the raw material.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, on average, it takes the machine about, depending on the tooth size, if we're talking about a front tooth versus a molar in the back, which are very large,
Mhm.
we're talking 8 to 12 minutes or so of time where that machine is cutting this down. But when it comes out of the machine, it's actually double the size. It looks like a horse tooth when it comes out. It's very fragile. And so that's when Dr. Dwyer was talking about moving it over to the oven,
Yeah.
because it has to bake for about 20 minutes. And that gets it to its solidified state. And it is rock hard. I mean, the zirconia is the closest material that we have out nowadays that can resemble the strength of a tooth.
I think of cubic zirconia. It was like a fake diamond. I mean,
Yeah.
is it related to that sort of?
Similar, yeah,
Mhm.
different chemical
But it's
structures.
super
but
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
So we do have a pretty active audience right now, and we did get a question. So it sounds like if we go to you, we're in really good hands. But for those of us trying to avoid going to a dentist, brushing with fluoride toothpaste. I know that there's a lot of concern around fluoride in our water as well as our toothpaste now.
Mhm.
Would you recommend that, or do you recommend any alternatives for people that might be skeptical?
What's the current thought on fluoride?
So we're still gathering data in terms of why there's this now negative impact on fluoride out there. In regards to what we provide, the amount of fluoride that is in toothpaste and in our fluoride supplemental products is so minuscule from a standpoint of toxicity. And fluoride, the point of fluoride is to change the composition of the enamel in terms of actually making it stronger.
Mhm.
The
Remineralization.
Exactly. The fluoride ion helps remineralize the enamel that can be broken down from decay, high acids, high sugar intake, and give yourself a fighting chance to prevent cavities from forming. And so that's why again, it's a proactive measure to prevent cavities from developing.
And also, the fluoride, the issue I think a lot of people have is that it's, in the water and it's a systemic, effect that they're worried about, and that can be the more negative side of it. But in toothpaste, it's topical. You're not going to be swallowing a whole tube of toothpaste or getting too much. And so really, we just want it directly on the teeth to do that remineralization.
So is the sweet spot then to avoid the systemic potential effects and yet get the positive benefit for the teeth? Is there a sweet spot? For instance, we tend to get the 5-gallon water. My wife likes the spring water with the minerals in it. And that's what we drink at home. Okay. But that doesn't have the fluoride in it. So is it enough to brush your teeth with the fluoride stuff and then do a fluoride containing swish and spit? Does that give you enough fluoride exposure?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it can.
Oh, there you go.
I think that's kind of the happy
Yeah.
middle ground.
Okay,
If you
that
don't
makes
don't
sense.
like,
Yeah.
having someone force it on you,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
at least you have the option to
Well,
do
and
it
we are
yourself.
people who enjoy choice. Show them your watch.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
Look at what your staff did for you. Look at this
Can you put
watch.
it
It's
up
really
yeah, I'm
cool.
going to.
Just so
Yeah.
you guys know, I
So
mean,
the girls gave me this wonderful unexpected Christmas gift
look at
You can
this.
into
see
the
it.
holiday season.
Look
I
at
don't
that.
know.
That's a Trump watch. It's the Trump watch. And on the back it's engraved. It
Yeah,
says
it's
like
hard
fight,
to
fight.
it's hard to see, but it's
That one's
it's
hard
that
to see.
iconic photo of him.
Yeah, the stream does not do it justice. It is absolutely
It
beautiful.
is really. It's a beautiful watch.
It's it's Trump time.
Yeah.
Always.
That's cool. Always
So-
ahead of time, right?
So with RFK potentially, projecting to remove fluoride from the water, you guys are not necessarily anticipating that there's going to be a massive increase in like tooth decay or anything related to that, or what are your thoughts on that sort of thing?
I don't think so. I mean, I think overall education on being proactive, going to the dentist, and understanding that you need to be getting your teeth checked every 6 months. I think our patients nowadays are so much more in tune, and also too because they can go look stuff up themselves in terms of what we need to accomplish to have a nice overall well health. And so, I don't foresee that being a problem.
So my background is actually in public health. And so I did have a little bit of experience with this. And so I do have a little bit of concern with maybe seeing an uptick in, like you're saying, the less educated population, people who don't have as much access to care. And so that was the reason for the fluoride initiative in the water in the first place, is making sure that everyone is kind of on a more level. If you think about people out in the country living on wells, they don't have fluoride in their water. That was the purpose of it. And I think it did. Obviously, there's studies that show whatever you want. You can find good studies or negative.
Well,
but
people that drink too much fluoride turn out to be progressives. Now,
Right.
I've got the study on that. It's a definitive study.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Just kidding. All right, we only have a few minutes left. So we want to talk about some other stuff you do. And I told you that recently, I've had a lot of patients over the years that have TMJ. And we were on a trip to Europe with a radio group. And all of a sudden, it's like one day I woke up and it's like, honey, this is like I'm hearing clicking in my ear and my ear all the way down to my jaws hurting. It hurts. And to this day, I still have an awareness. I mean, it's getting better, but I don't know. You're doing some TMJ work.
Yeah.
Tell us about
lots of it.
What does TMJ feel like, first of all? What are some of the signs and symptoms?
The biggest thing I get is patients will tell me how tight everything feels. And we just actually did a case where a patient couldn't open her mouth, but maybe just 10 centimeters or so, which is not very much. It's about the width of your index finger.
Makes your job tough when you're trying to do dental.
You can't get in there. So we treated the muscle. It's the biggest muscle, if that helps you chew, called the masseter muscle. It's right kind of at the base of your cheek and kind of right
in the angle of your jaw.
Yeah.
So
and if you were to bite your teeth together, if you're a clencher, you can feel that muscle popping in and out.
I've ground my lower teeth down over the years doing that. I'm a grinder.
We see a lot of it.
And we're starting to see a lot of it. I mean, life's stressful, and it's something that is becoming very, very prevalent in the practice. And so about 2 weeks after she received treatment, maybe actually a week after treatment time, she started to notice that she could open up more freely. And it was remarkable because I saw her the next week to do a follow-up. And because when we were talking about doing TMJ issues, we've got to also factor in a bite appliance that we would like our patients to wear. It gives our patients the ability to have something to bite onto that's balanced for their bite and stabilizes the joint. And I couldn't get that scanner wand in there if I would have just seen it for the first time. So just loosening those muscles up. And what Botox does, just very quickly, it doesn't cause the muscle to not work anymore. It just limits its ability to contract as strongly as it could. And so that resistance that you get on a daily basis from clenching and grinding, that is dampened drastically and temporarily too. It will come back, but we want it to calm down. It's, think about a trigger point. You want them to calm down so that the muscles can start to balance and actually shrink. And so you'll start to see when patients get this treatment done, their jaws become from a square shape, kind of more of a tapered shape. And I mean, it has an aesthetic point too. Randy, we were talking about aesthetics for Botox as well.
Yeah. Speaking of aesthetics, you're doing some of those too, right? Taking care of some wrinkles with the Botox, but also some fillers and stuff.
Yeah.
I keep asking if they can give me hair again, and that's not going to happen. Apparently,
we could figure that out. We would have.
That's right. Could we get a 2-for-1, maybe, Dan? I don't know.
I think that would be wonderful.
So tell us about fillers.
So usually in the lips, around the mouth, in these nasolabial folds. But we haven't gotten into the cheeks or more overall. But
don't make the lips look like balloons. Like what is it with some
there's
of these,
a balance.
Some of these TV personalities, their lips look like kissing gouramis.
Yeah, a little goes a long way.
I just think everybody wants something different. But we've got, if that's what you want, we can provide that for you. But we have wonderful products that give that nice supple change that we're.
And we look at mouths all day. That's all we look at. So I think we
where you
kind of
feel,
have an eye.
you feel better about it, but it's not super noticeable.
All
kind
right,
of reverse aging, so to speak.
Yeah, and this kind of stuff has, as the market's grown, pricing is pretty reasonable, right? So it might be maybe a Christmas. Guys, don't give your wife a gift certificate to get the crow's feet taken care of, okay?
But if she wants it, say yes.
We're here for her.
But if she wants something like that, that'd be a nice thing. Or ladies, buy yourself a little Christmas present,
We have another stream comment just saying, amazing office, y'all. So you have some fans out there that really appreciate the work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
But I just wanted everyone to know about the great things you do, but really the fantastic work on TMJ, fillers, and this unbelievable space age 1-day treatment for crowns. You don't have to do the comeback thing. That's great.
Yeah.
Super good. And I know you've done some work on my family members and friends as well. So
especially
thanks
for
that.
somebody like you that has to travel a long distance, saving that second appointment is huge.
I travel in from the Liberty Lair. I'm out today. It's like Groundhog Day. I come out, I'm squinting like a naked mole rat.
It's the first time we've actually been in the office together.
Yeah.
That's
I know. Doctors Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer, we thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks, Randy.
Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. The number is 978-0226, 636-978-0226. AdvancedDentistryNow.com. Take care of your teeth. Take care of your gums, please,
Absolutely.
for a lot of reasons. Thanks, guys.
Thank
you.
When we come back, we'll have some fun. Donald Trump has come out with a new Christmas Carol. Did you know that? He's got a release.
What?
Yeah, he's got a release. We'll play it when we come back. Yeah.
This is what's happening.
This was a premeditated, pre-planned, targeted attack.
50-year-old Brian Thompson was gunned down outside a New York City hotel.
1019 and 94.1.
Number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
The family that brought you the public schoolhouse in Colorville now presents Oak Street Inn and Lounge. Listen, whether you're staying for business or leisure, you're going to enjoy beautifully designed, luxurious rooms. And downstairs, enjoy a unique dining experience. The Oak Street Lounge offers unforgettable upscale cuisine. Reserve a room or dinner. Oak Street Inn and Lounge.com.
Tim Jones here for Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. They've helped me recover from day-to-day aches and pains for years. And here's something special, personal training programs. Whether you're an athlete committed to increasing performance, recovering from an injury, or just want to get healthier and lose weight, their personal training programs will help you reach your goals and stay there. Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, online at cchiropractic.com. That's cchiropractic.com.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine in or carry out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
As you know, Vincent's is not just my favorite jeweler. Vincent's is my only jeweler. And I was in recently looking at lab-grown diamonds. These are not glass. They are actual diamonds, but they cost a fraction of a natural diamond. You can check them out at Vincent's.com, or better yet, see these lab-grown diamonds in person. You're going to be amazed at the beauty and the price. Vincent's Jewelers. VincentsJewelers.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
We'll speak with Rick Tyler from the Leadership Institute on the Campaign Leadership College, and at 5:20, Dr. Aaron Hudlin from the Show Me Institute.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Come to decide that the things that I tried were
Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer on News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. This is News Talk STL.
You know, we were talking about the drones, and Donald Trump has come out and said, look, this is ridiculous. If you don't know what's going on, shoot it down. I mean, if it won't declare what they are, shoot them down. You know, he talked a lot about common sense during the campaign, and I think Americans are just thirsty for some common sense. And I just hope that we see that early and often in the administration. Now, he's also, we talked about his watch there. Dr. Cusimano had a watch, you know, and I think now he's got fragrances and what else? I think it's hilarious, just absolutely hilarious. He's monetizing this thing to the max. I guess I can't blame him, but he's come out with a new Christmas song. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Why don't we play some of that? Yeah. Okay. Well, we're gonna try to get it here in just a sec. Do we have it?
You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. 47's coming to town. I made a beautiful list and we're checking it twice. All the bad hombres will be deported by ICE. 47's coming to town. Tom Holman's gonna find you and make you go away. If you came here illegally, then you're not allowed to stay. So you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. 47's coming to town.
All right, we got to give credit to Sean Farish for that. I think he does the very best Trump imitation. I saw that. I busted a gut. I just play it over and over. It's just hilarious. But did you notice it in the middle of that he changed registers? Things changed a little bit for the musicians there. He started out in one key and then he, modulated up a little key right there about towards the end.
And especially for somebody doing an impression, that's not an easy thing to do.
No, it's very, very good and it's funny. So, Trump has a big, big mission to try to turn the economy around, tamp down inflation. That's going to be very, very difficult in light of what we saw this last week with inflation numbers. The wholesale inflation was up 0.4%. That's going to fuel. I mean, look, if your supplier, whether it's a building supplier, whether it's the person that's supplying the flour and the sugar for the whatever the baked goods you're getting, if wholesale supplies are going up or prices are going up, your cost is going to go up. Then you put on it, if he does impose tariffs, there's some real threats to success in the inflationary realm. So that, plus we talked earlier with George Freeman about the problems with legally getting people deported if that have been here a while. By the time they go through the system and get the due process and everything, it's a problem, which argues for strict, severe border enforcement. The minute they cross that Rio Grande, you're gone. You're out of here. Bye-bye. Right?
Well, in Poland, what they do is after an incident where a border patrolman was killed by an illegal, they shoot on sight. It is quite literally, if they catch you trying to illegally cross in, they give you one warning, and if you do not turn around, then they will. I mean, I'm not saying we necessarily have to go that far, but I think that once we show we mean business, we're not just going to let you walk in here and do whatever. The problem might solve itself.
Yeah, this whole ability to just claim, political asylum, that's ridiculous. These people are here for economic reasons, the vast majority of them. Let's talk to Gene the dancing machine here on the Tobler Show. Gene, what's going on?
Hey, Merry Christmas. I was telling Jerome, unfortunately, I've been sporadic listening this morning. Greta Van Susteren, I'll change topics here a little bit, but kind of stay with the oral thing in a sense. Greta Van Susteren on Newsmax last night had this lady on from the dental school at the University of Florida. They have developed an oral screening test that's really inexpensive, 99% accurate, using saliva to test for both breast and oral cancer. The electronic device is about $60. The strips are basically paper. She figures a cost of about 10 cents or so on that. And I was trying to pull it up to get the lady's name, and I ran across a Renee Wan, W-A-N, that is associated with this program also. But that, I think, is just absolutely amazing.
Well, I know that there are some, certainly there's one test called Gallery. We offer that to our patients. That's a blood biopsy, if you will, can detect over 50 cancers. There's some problems with these things because sometimes the signals that a cancer will send off are so early, and these tests are becoming so sensitive that you can't find it with imaging or any other test. And so now I've got this positive suggestion, but I can't find the problem. And what do I do? Creates a lot of problem. On the other hand, I mean, it's good to know early. And so that's a good thing. There are, I know that the oral salivary test can be helpful as well. I hadn't heard about the breast cancer one. We'll have to look. Is Dr. W-A-N? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, Renee Wan. And I found her on, let's see, there's, can I throw out a website name?
Yeah, well, a lot of these will detect whether you have a genetic risk based on some biomarkers as well. So things are being developed, and it's exciting to know. And you'd like to get to a point where we could find out that there are a clone of abnormal cells which have not yet established themselves as a cancer, and you just take a week of oral chemotherapy and you knock them out and you're done. I mean, wouldn't that be a beautiful thing at some point? And a guy like Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, who's going to be in charge of the NIH, that's the kind of guy that is going to be looking for valid and effective and affordable tests that can be unleashed on a mass basis and really create unbelievable advantage for the population. So we'll have to see. There's a lot of exciting stuff coming down our way. Now, I know you've got that exciting RV Batmobile, if you will. Are you like in some RV park in Banff, Canada or something today, or where are you?
No, actually, we're not. We are in what we are calling preparing to transition mode. We've got a bunch of stuff accumulated.
Okay, so you don't mean you're not wearing a wig and a skirt, not that kind of transition.
No.
I'm just saying. I don't know.
Your usual quick wit there. No, we've got a bunch of stuff. We've got to get our house on the market and get that done, but probably hit the road August next year.
And then you're just going to be on the road, right? I mean, so you'll have a roving address. Does that mean you could vote early and often in the midterms? Because it looks like the Republicans will need it. Well, historically, anyway.
Only in Illinois. No, short of the long, we're probably going to take up residency in Texas. There's a couple of places that one can do this and still have a physical hard address, like a house without having the sticks and bricks thing.
But you will listen, even though you're in Texas. You'll still be a loyal member of the family. Yeah, I hope.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good.
That's for sure. And we're going to have to make arrangements to blow through Columbia, Missouri on August.
There we go. Sounds good. Hey, thanks, Gene. Really great to talk with you, brother. Merry Christmas to you. All right. They're taking the leap. Got a really nice, like an RV bus kind of a thing. I think it's a tractor trailer and like a pull behind, Wow. And really cool. I've always wanted to drive one of those big rigs. I mean, wouldn't that be exciting? That's a little bit of a bucket list thing.
I would assume it would be a lot of fun until you get to like a bigger city. Like
when
you think of like New York or even Chicago and you see the semi trucks, it's like you have to be a really good driver to make that work.
When we were on the trip in Europe, this tour bus was going through these alpine mountains and in these curvy roads where it was almost like 180, 270 degree turn,
Wow, yeah.
And these drivers are so professional. They've done this for years. And I mean, there's literally an inch or two clearance between like a light post and the fence on the other side, right? And they've got it. It's amazing. I mean, the professional drivers are something else. They really are.
Yeah, I did actually security for a lot, a trucking lot for like Home Depot,
and
that it was a massive thing, and that did not build a lot of confidence in what I saw. Because you do have like the intermodal people, and they're usually pretty good at getting from point A to point B. But some of these companies, it was just one thing after another. Any amount of snow, and again, this is Northern Illinois where it snows pretty much every year. You would expect them to know, and there just the disparity between people that actually could figure out how to go in a straight line when it was snowing and the people that it seemed like they'd never seen snow before it was very intense. I'm kind of glad I don't do that work anymore, to be honest.
Well, there's a lot that goes into the training and the licensing and everything for that. So I just hats off to everyone that does that line of work and gets the goods from the docks to us. Speaking of the docks, Donald Trump did a little bit of he disappointed me a bit when he's sort of wavering on the advancement of technology when it comes to the dock workers. You heard about that, the union head of the longshoremen up in the Northeast and again down in the Gulf. He presides over that branch of the union of the dock workers. And, they had this controversy. They were going to shut things down, right, in the early fall. They were asking for, I think it was 75%. 75% over 3 or 4 years. And the extension contract just until I think it's going to be shut down in January if they don't come to a new agreement was 62%. And they're saying like, hey, we're going to shut down your building, products. We're going to shut down your automobiles that are imported and the parts for the automobiles that are assembled here. And so we're just going to shut you down and you guys are going to lose your jobs and you people aren't going to be able to. It was a really sort of a brass knuckles kind of a rhetoric that he was doing, old-fashioned union hardball, and the kind that I think turns a lot of people off, a lot of people that aren't getting 20% a year raises, but yet are trying to feed their families and put clothes on the kids' back. And so Trump came out and said, well, maybe basically the line was, and I'm paraphrasing here, Well, if those companies, if the automation is only going to increase their profits a little bit, I think we ought to just keep the jobs and hold. I think that's a huge mistake. I mean, look, this country found a way, well, the world found a way to go from the horse and buggy to the combustion engine, right? We're going to find ways to go from a predominantly coal and oil energy economy, I think, to nuclear. I think that's the way it's going to be. Maybe not in my lifetime, but I think it'll be that way in your lifetime, Jerome. Because the new nuclear technology is safe and it's, the modular stuff, it's totally different. Sodium cooled reactors and things like that. So, and one company up in, one community up in, I think it's either Wyoming or Montana. As much as we like to demonize Bill Gates came in and turned a coal mining community where it was coal. That's all they did for their local coal-fired plant, and they sent it out. I think there were 400 or 500 workers all told in the plant and in the coal mining. They transitioned to nuclear, and they all preserved their jobs. They just had to learn some new tasks. We talked with the brain performance expert earlier. It's good to exercise your brain. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, and again, when it comes to people like Bill Gates, there are areas where they are definitely the right man for the task, and that there are times where maybe they should not really be given some input. But one of the things that we've seen with the economy overall, though, is that in some industries they're willing to say, well, you were doing this task, we can use similar skills and coach you into this task. But what I think my generation's saying is, you already have to enter into the market with some sort of background or education or training skills to even be considered. Not a lot of places are really willing to train the future worker, so to speak. They want somebody that already has experience.
I think that's because management and bosses, I think, have made a mistake when it comes to what you just said. I don't know. I found in my management life that, when people interview and they may not have this or that skill, I want to know more about their character. I want to know about their work ethic. I want to know how they engage with their job, how plastic they are in terms of their curiosity and learning. If we get a curious George or Georgette that's a hard worker and wants to engage, you can teach them anything, right? I mean, you really can teach most people anything if they want to learn. Obviously, they have to be able to communicate and, there's some basic skills. But I think the expectation anymore with such a changing economy, technology at the speed of light, to expect someone to already come in with skills that are going to adapt them for the next year or 2 or 5 or 10, I don't know, that's almost unrealistic. So I look for character. Character matters and work ethic matters. Where are you working next week, Jerome? No. Okay.
Hopefully here.
No, this guy has it. And he already has the skill set. And producer Jerome, love working with this guy. So let's have a little fun. When we come back, we'll play a little Jill trolling Kamala clip. And we haven't touched on the release of the Inspector General and the report on confidential human sources at J6.
Ooh.
Yeah, let's talk about that. And a little fun with Jill trolling Kamala when we come back and wrap it up on the Tobler Show.
Around the Christmas tree, let the Christmas spirit ring. Later we'll have some pumpkin pie and we'll do some caroling.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
You know what's going on?
Have a great awakening.
You see through the smoke screen.
It's cool to be woke. News Talk STL. Until it's not. News, analysis, opinion.
So it's fun to see Drs. Dwyer and Cusimano in studio here and talk with them and tell you a little bit about what they do. But I literally saw them for my regular cleaning a week and a half ago, and I kept biting my cheek on one side. And I said, Dr. Dan, he saw me that time. Dr. Dan, what's going on? Because I got this little ridge where I'm biting my cheek. And he said, oh, you've chipped the back molar, the filling on a back molar. Oh, okay. So I came in and we got it fixed. The precision and the expertise that goes into just making sure, because I saw the picture before and after, and I saw the picture of my normal molar, I couldn't tell the difference. So they start out with this glob of stuff that goes in there where the cavity is, excavated. It's just like, it's artistry, it's sculpting work. And he's a pill. And I mean that with all greatest compliment. He's a pill and a perfectionist. And I know Dr. Dwyer is as well. And that's the way their assistants are too, whether it's, Teresa or Ashley or whoever, Lori, they're all great. And of course, the front office staff are just beautiful people. So I hope that you get to know them if you need any kind of dental care or the really cool things that they're doing with TMJ and fillers and Botox. If you got some lines that you don't want to have on your forehead or around your nose or your crow's feet, They do great work. 636-978-0226. 636-978-0226. AdvancedDentistryNow.com.
Are you sitting on hidden treasure? Manchester Coin and Jewelry wants to turn your valuables into cash. We're Missouri's premier gold buyers and jewelry specialists with years of expertise. We offer top dollar for your coins, antiques, precious metals, and collectibles. From gold and silver to clocks and jewelry, we buy it all. Don't let your treasures collect dust. Let Manchester Coin and Jewelry give you the best value. Visit online at buyingvaluables.net or come see him today at 141 in Manchester and tell him Newstalk STL sent you.
Larry Connors here, and I'm heading to southern Italy for a tour of the most beautiful coastline in the world, the Amalfi Coast. I want you to join me. We'll travel for 11 magical days with professionals from Conservative Tours. They're the best tour operators in Italy. Conservative Tours, an A+ rating with the BBB. $54.88 is your cost. That includes airfare from St. Louis, luxury hotels, dining events you'll remember for years. Call 888-733-9494 or go to conservativestours.com. Join me next spring in Italy on the Isle of Capri, just $54.88, including airfare from St. Louis. 888-733-9494 or go to conservativetours.com.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Congratulations to the awesome team at Connor Roofing for earning the 2024 National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction. Connor Roofing has now won back-to-back honors because they do outstanding work in all types of roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. We chose Connor Roofing without telling the owners, Rob and Kathy Connor. Their customer reviews are some of the best in the country. Please read them. Visit ConnorRoofing.com and request an estimate. Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor.
This hour, the Randy Tobler Show, brought to you by Advanced Dentistry Now. Doctors Dan Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer. 636-978-0226 or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli. Come hang out with Ken Williams and me every Monday through Friday from 9 to 11. But right now, it's back to the Randy Tobler Show on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
So I hope that you all feel that sense of, peace and light, and that just for a moment when you leave here today that you feel, a sense of joy. Because I think we all need we all need to feel joy now during this time of the season, during this time. So anyway, okay, now I'll start. You're all reading into that.
Oh, they caught her red-handed trolling Kamala. I think there's half a chance Jill and Joe voted for Kamala. I voted for Trump. What do you think?
I think it's becoming more likely than not, just based on the way that they've been acting.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, remember shortly before the election when he was at I forget, but he was with a bunch of kids. I guess it was at a school or at an FFA event or something. And remember, he had the Trump hat on. Someone gave him a Trump hat. He actually put it on. And then he was photographed, videoed, taking it onto the airplane. Remember that?
I forgot they took it with him.
He took it with him. Yeah, he took it with him. So I don't know. I mean, look, I think he was terribly scorned and betrayed from his standpoint. Now, he has some culpability on the whole deal, too. He should have known better. There's a time when you need to step down. There's a time when you need to say, hey, I'm not what I was before. I'm not up to the task. It's not fair to the country. It's not fair to my family. It's not fair to my legacy to continue on. And I think that was his big first mistake.
So I definitely agree, but I've heard a bit of a conspiracy that part of the reason why he did not want to step down was because of who might potentially replace him. Someone like Harris, someone like Pritzker, someone like Newscomb, right? So,
which was borne out.
Yeah, and they're much further left. They're much more in favor of censorship, gun grabbing, stuff like that. So that is, I don't have a lot of evidence. But I have heard people suggest that potentially that's why he was so reluctant to step down. Is best case scenario, he wins, which would not be anybody's best case scenario that's rational. But worst case scenario is whoever would replace him would be even further left and be even deeper in the deep state. And so he was almost like trying to protect us. Now, I don't know.
Are you suggesting altruism rather than ambition?
I'm
a Joe Biden who has a beach house and this house and a whatever worth millions. And well, that's an interesting thought, though.
Yeah, I cannot confirm nor deny, but I'm just saying.
All right. And I'm looking at you. You do not have a tinfoil hat on. You still have your News Talk hat on there. So okay.
No Neuralink yet.
Oh, boy. 314-912-1019, the number, if you want to weigh in here in the final moments of the program. Let's switch gears and talk about what happened last week when the day after Christopher Wray resigns as the FBI. Isn't it curious? Michael Weinstein, the Inspector General from the DOJ, comes out with his report on the J6 events and the FBI involvement therein. And this is a little flashback to when Tom Massey, who's a rugged watchdog against government abuse, was questioning authorities about this. And here's what he had to say back in September with Michael Weinstein.
What we do know is you're going to expose that there were confidential human sources at the Capitol. Can you tell us today how many went into the Capitol?
I'll have that information in the report. I'm not able to speak to information in there.
So that was Michael Weinstein, who released this thing the day after Christopher Wray resigns. And back in September, he all but admitted that there were confidential human sources. He just couldn't say anything more. He sort of dodged and weaved and did the rope-a-dope thing. And previously to that, for the previous year or two, since this thing was launched, the investigation was launched, Christopher Wray had denied that there was anything going on. And I guess technically you could be said that, okay, there weren't FBI agents, right?
Technically,
that's what the report said. But there were these informants, right, which were confidential human sources. I assume these are people that, well, their expenses were paid. They said they invited, what were there, 26, I believe. 3 of them were invited, right? And it was reported that they were there on missions to follow potential domestic terrorists.
Oh, I'm sure.
And a number of them went into the Capitol. My question would be, unless I'm mistaken, weren't there people like blue-haired grannies that just wandered into the Capitol that have been prosecuted?
Yeah. So
why weren't these people prosecuted?
Well, of course, they're not going to prosecute their own. I mean, of course. But yeah, so I was actually looking into this because I still have people that I keep contact with, and they're like, well, none of these people should be pardoned. And none of these, they all knew what they were doing. And yeah, I'm like, okay, the actual crime, if you were not in an altercation and you were not actually vandalizing any sort of property, if you were just one of the people that the doors opened and then you were following the crowd in there, that is trespassing. And trespassing on a federal government building is only punishable by up to 6 months and up to, I think, a $1,000 fine.
That's about as long as many of them spent in solitary, for crying out loud.
This is like what, 3 years later, almost 4 years later, and there are still people that they've not even had a trial to determine if they were one of the people. We know that there's over 1,000 people now. For context, the Chaz Chop, the autonomous, when they took over the police district, they took over that entire city block. There are the same amount of people that are currently in prison right now that participated. People got killed. There was widespread vandalism. They were resisting the law enforcement demands to get out of there.
Violent resistance.
Not a single person that was even given a charge faced any jail time or prison time over that. And yet we have, again, little people that they saw the doors open. They saw the crowd was being allowed in. They saw the people directing around the Capitol. They said, oh, cool, we're allowed in. 3 years later, what are they doing? They're still waiting for a fair trial.
Well, Trump has telegraphed that he's going to pardon many of them. He said many, he didn't say all. And there are people, if you attack a police officer, Capitol Police, you should be in jail. You should be made accountable for that. I don't think anyone would disagree about that.
Yeah, if you're vandalizing property, kind of, that's a different charge entirely.
I mean, if you've got a zip tie and there's some evidence either through email or text or some audio evidence that your intent was to lynch Vice President Pence or, do something terrible to Nancy Pelosi, as much as, God bless her, she broke her hip in Luxembourg. Did you see that? Yeah. And they say she's working, but a hip fracture is serious. So we wish her well. We don't wish her any ill will. I mean, those people should be prosecuted. I don't have a problem with that. I think there were some grievous errors made by people that were, that felt strongly that the election had been stolen. But all that said, I mean, these people who just wandered in because the gates were open and people were wandering in. I mean, I don't know. I don't see that they should suffer the consequences and be dragged out of their home in the dark of night with armed FBI agents, swarms of them coming in, and you got kids watching. That's ridiculous. Come on. Well, to that, since we're speaking about pardons in the last minute here, did you hear about Biden? An unprecedented number of pardons, 1,500 clemencies, and about 40 or so pardons, including a judge in northeastern Pennsylvania, Judge Michael Conahan, who pleaded guilty to racketeering in 2011. You know what he was doing? This judge was escalating the sentences for juveniles, putting them in prisons.
Kids for cash case, right?
Kids for cash. And he was on the back end getting people who benefited, who either were running or owned the prisons, and he was getting kickbacks.
Jeez.
And he commuted this guy's sentence. I mean, Joe, not the way to go out, dude. Not the way to go out.
Well, and there were also, again, confirmed Chinese spies that were convicted of stealing U.S. technologies and information, and they were released. And what I see people defending them saying is, well, they're not going to be allowed to come back. Well, no, the damage is done. There are people that were caught that had illicit materials regarding children. Why are you letting these people out?
Yeah. Well, we're going to leave you with this as we head out, and I want you to play this cute little clip. This is Mini X in the back of a car, and it's a cute little clip, and it is clip number R8. Play R8. This is cute. This is Elon talking to his kid.
What should I do?
Save America.
And?
Help Trump.
Save America. Help Trump. All right, go Trump. Let's hope that his cabinet nominees and agency heads get through. Let's get on with business. Hope you have a good getting on with business as we lead up to the holidays. Hope you enjoyed the program this morning. Hope you'll join everyone on News Talk STL, including On the Money next hour, and all the great programming here. We'll see you next week, will producer Jerome and I, on the Randy Tobler Show.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the News Talk STL app.
Love the News Talk STL app. On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Hi, I'm Helene Tobler, culinary nutritionist at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Here we do practical wellness. Dr. Randy and I have a common sense approach to healthcare. My passion is helping our members enjoy better nutrition because food is medicine. We approach problems with a lifestyle foundation and cutting-edge medical tool chest. At Body of Health, it's about being your healthiest you. If you want to experience healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Hello, Tim Jones here with Eric from Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Eric, your diamonds are so fantastic at Newsteaders. You named the website after them, wowdiamonds.com. Tell us about Wow Diamonds.
Well, we picked that name because when people look at the diamonds, they all exclaim the same thing. Everybody says, wow. And nobody can spell Newsteaders, so we figured Wow Diamonds would definitely be a good tagline, and it's very accurate. We actually introduced the lab-grown diamond to our St. Louis family, and we're the exclusive home of the trademarked Wow Diamond. It's the most perfectly cut and polished diamond you'll ever experience, and we can fit one into anyone's budget. The thing that's nice about them is they're significantly less expensive than a mined diamond, and of course the artwork is in the cutting and polishing. That's where you get the beauty in the diamond, and that's what we excel at.
Newsteaders, a St. Louis jewelry tradition since 1961. Stop by and find out why. 2961